but 10 obstacles of being successful in seeking knowledge. You can seek knowledge with lack of sincerity. You can seek knowledge with arrogance and conceit. You can seek knowledge from books without sitting with scholars and teachers and instructors. You can seek knowledge with procrastination and with longing and hoping, but you won't necessarily be successful. Your search of knowledge won't necessarily be fruitful. And if it is, or you are tested, Allah tests you with some type of outward worldly success, some type of outward worldly fruition, know for sure that which awaits you in the hereafter is going to be something may Allah protect us all from, of a horrible state, a terrible state on that day. Let alone what the people of knowledge mention with regards to su'ul khatimah, a person dying in a bad state. Ibn Rajab rahimahullah and others, they've mentioned that whenever someone dies in a bad state, they don't get the tawfiq to say the kalima of the shahada, the kalima of tawheed, or they die and their face looks a certain way, or a very, very bad way of dying. He and others, they have said, then it is some type of sarira tsu, an evil, nasty, dirty secret that someone is keeping and hiding, and they were successful in hiding that from the people all of that time. So whether it's in this life, towards the end of your life, or in the hereafter, even if you get some outward success, you do get some information, some facts, some actual ilm, know for sure that you cannot escape. You can't escape. You can't outdo these things right here. So when we say obstacles in the path of seeking knowledge, some of those obstacles are literally in the path, a roadblock. And there are other obstacles that aren't necessarily in the path, but they're obstacles from keeping you from optimizing the ilm and learning as much as you possibly can, and soaking up and understanding and being granted with understanding and wisdom, hikmah. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. So with that being said, last night we finished all 10, hamd, and reached the part of the book in which the author says, Min adab al-mu'allimin wal-muta'allimin, Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Nasir as-Sa'di. Says etiquettes of teachers and students. Etiquettes of teachers and students. And this isn't by Shaykh Barjas, rahimahullah, rather this is by Shaykh Sa'di, the author of the famous tafsir, At-Tawdih wal-Bayan, Li Shajarat al-Iman, the Tree of Faith, and many other beautiful books that Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala has authored. Many of them are in English. So before we move forward with tonight's lesson and wrap up the entire book, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, what did we talk about last night? لا ينال أو لا يستطاع العلم براحة الجسد. طيب, knowledge cannot be obtained through relaxation. It can be obtained through chilling, through relaxing, through sitting back, taking things easily, slowly, just, whistling and skipping. Knowledge doesn't come like that. Khairan inshallah. What else did we discuss last night? Seeking the path of knowledge, you're on the right track when you become confused and frustrated. Tayyib, what else did we say? Learning systematically, the importance and the obligation to learn systematically in proper steps, proper time. What else did we say last night? Wasting time is a means of ungratefulness to Allah. We said something even deeper than that with regards to being ungrateful to Allah. While wasting talent. Wasting talent. You said talent or time? Talent, we said. Mawahib. Wasting your talent. Reaching for less or not reaching at all when you have the ability to be more and to obtain more through natural ability. Tayyib, what else did we say last night? Student of knowledge should be balanced. Sitting in a class and reading books. Reading books on your own personal time, and sitting in the traditional circles or in the school, in the university, in the institute, both. Sitting with your sheikh, sitting with someone from the ulama, with your teacher, someone who's your age but they're your teacher, and also reading by yourself. Self-study is important. And it doesn't mean that because someone is self-taught that they can't learn from books. There's certain things that you have to teach yourself. There's certain things that you have to teach yourself. And there's certain things that you can learn by yourself. And there are other things that you can't. And even with the things that you can teach yourself, and you do teach yourself, you make sure that you have the proper understanding. What's important is from the beauty of sitting with the ulama, from the beauty of learning from teachers and instructors, and notice how we made a clear difference, because many people, they think that it's only sitting with the ulama, and that's wrong. And we saw this in the Prophet ﷺ city. Sit with the ulama in the Prophet's masjid, and Sheikh's house, sit with him, don't go to school, don't go to the kulliyah, it's not muhim. It's not important at all, because the teacher is a deviant anyway. The teacher is a hizbi, you don't even have to go to class, you don't have to study with him. You're only in Medina for a visa to sit with the ulama. Wallahi, they were saying this in abundance. It's the only reason why you're here. It's to sit with the scholars. School means nothing. And they'll use the dalil al-i'timadu al-kutub dun ulama. So we said sitting with the ulama, the big shots, the scholars, big ulama, this doctor, this teacher, this muallim, this ustadh. All of that is what's meant by that ayat, not depending solely upon books. Everybody understand this? And your teacher, your ustadh, doesn't have to be, as we said, the flashiest person. Doesn't mean that. Sometimes someone who isn't as flashy and famous and well known may be more beneficial to you specifically. Even though this is the mufti of Saudi Arabia. This is the biggest alim of the town, of the city. But it doesn't mean that you benefited from him the most. Whether his language, whatever the case is. So the principle is not to just be self-taught. And that doesn't mean not to read books. It doesn't mean avoid reading books. Everyone understand this? Once you sit with the ulama, you sit with your teachers, your instructors, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you have the ability, you learn the principles, you learn how to do it on your own as well. You know what to look for in a book. You know what to avoid. You know how to analyze, how to break down, how to explain. You learn how to deduce yourself. You learn how to make your own research on the illah of hadith after you studied. وهكذا. So it's very important. Khairan inshallah. What else did we talk about last night? Knowledge is so much, time is so short. What else? Ulu al-himma and dunu al-himma. High aspirations and low aspirations. One of the most common plagues, common cancers is not wanting much. Tayyib. What else did we say? Which was? طيب أين نجد هذا؟ في صحيح مسلم وليس صحيح البخاري. أنا كنت أشير إلى هذا لكنك لم تتنبه. It's always, when I'm teaching, my teaching style, if I ask you certain questions, you should already know that it's a what? Sheikh Hassan, it's some type of what? Some type. By the way I ask, are you sure? There's always some type there. Huh? But I can't give you all of the answers. I knew it was in Sahih Muslim last night. Tayyib, where is it in Sahih Muslim? Awqat as-salawat al-khams. What bab specifically? What salah? What about the salah? What bab? What specific bab? Kitab al-masajid wa mawadi' as-salah. What hadith comes before it? And tabihu. We still don't got the point yet, Sheikh Hassan. Still don't got it yet. Tayyib, we'll get there. So for Nasr. اقرأ ما قبله وما بعده. And then we'll see what Nawawi says. Tayyib, who has the makan from Sahih Muslim? Well, you got to learn how to use Sahih Muslim. Sahih? A student of knowledge must what? Learn how to use Sahih Muslim, how to read it. A student of knowledge must pay attention. We do the Lulu Marjan classes. That's it. And we always say about Sahih Muslim that Imam Muslim never put in the abwab. Lam yubawib. وإنما جعل الكتب العامة. والذي بوب هو الشارح أو المختصر. سواء النووي أو القرطبي أو غيرهما. ها. بسم الله. تفضل. She beat you to the punch, Sheikh. La, Sheikh, she was quick on the draw. Split second, huh? McGraw, right? طيب, فضلي. حدثنا إبراهيم يعني ابن طهمان عن الحجاج بن منهار الحجاج. عن الحجاج بن منهار عن أبيه عن جده عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: لا يقول أحدكم طيب الحديث الذي بعده. أيوة. نعم. طيب وقف. ماذا قال الإمام النووي؟ لا، عن أثر يحيى بن أبي كثير. جرت. لا يذكر أو لا يذكر في كتابه إلا عليه الصلاة والسلام محضة. طيب. No, he's basically saying that the athar of Yahya ibn Kathir has nothing to do with the chapter of Salah. The chapter of Masajid, places of the Salah, the prayer in the daytime, the night prayer, has nothing to do with that. And some of them, they say that Imam Muslim, rahimahullah, he put it there because of the hard work and the painstaking efforts that he put forth to gather, compile, arrange, organize, and drive those different asanid and those different wordings. In other words, Imam Muslim suffered to put his book together. And he spent many years, some of the ulama say over 14 years, some say 12 years, writing his book, Sahih Muslim. All right? He wrote his book after a long, painstaking journey, many sacrifices, and he wanted to prove and show to you that if you want to get some of what I have, some of what Allah has blessed me with, then you can't do it sleeping on your bed. You can't do it hitting the snooze button. You can't do it doing this and doing that. You can only do it by sacrificing, by suffering like I did. لا ينال العلم لا يستطاع العلم براحة الجسد. You cannot become a real person of hadith if you just want to relax and kick back, and if you don't want to get cut and scraped and scratched. If you don't want no nicks and bruises and burns and bumps. If you're not willing to sacrifice and give up things and go through hardship and difficulty, then you shouldn't be impressed by my book. Or if you are impressed by my book, it's just going to stop there. That's the only thing you do is be impressed by it. Don't ever dream or think about getting close to what my book is like. Unless you're willing to what? Go through the sacrifices of which I have what? Went through. Everybody clear on this? So it's a very interesting point that Imam Muslim rahimahullah ta'ala did and put in his book. Khairan inshallah. So that's enough of that. Jazakallahu khairan. كذلك أخي العزيز أخانا الفاضل بارك الله فيكما. Now let's move on to page 78 in the book with regards to the kalam of Ibn Sa'di, and we'll try our best بإذن ta'ala not to make a very long commentary on this by Allah's permission. Bismillah, تفضلي. يتعين إخلاص النية. بسم الله. ويتفقد. أقدامهم. أو يحصله. طيب. Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah, the first point he says, just like the author, and this, whenever you're studying in a book, and you study another book in the third and the fourth and the fifth, or one class, you see there's certain principles that are totally universal. Totally universal. And it isn't made up by one scholar or one alim. It's proven that it's from one divine source. And that is al-ikhlas. Al-ikhlas. Sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next fact that we take from this is that becoming a great champion doesn't always necessarily mean through the flashy, fancy moves. But one of the most important and crucial ingredients is just solid fundamental skills. Solid fundamentals. That's it. It doesn't always mean this fancy move and that fancy, just solid fundamentals. Al-ikhlas, al-ikhlas, al-ikhlas. That's more than enough to be repeated, to be explained, to be expounded upon. That's a fundamental thing that can take you so far with regards to the proper do's and don'ts and the etiquettes. Khairan, inshallah. Ibn Sa'di, he says, يتعين على أهل العلم من المتعلمين والمعلمين أن يجعلوا أساس أمرهم الذي يبنون عليه حركاتهم وسكناتهم الإخلاص الكامل. He says that it's mandatory upon the people of knowledge, from teachers and students and teachers. So he called students also from those who are attributed to knowledge, those who are involved with knowledge, to make the foundation of everything that they do, when they're sitting still, when they're moving about, pure sincerity for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seeking closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal with this act of worship, which is the greatest acts of worship. The most complete, the most perfect act of worship. The most general act of worship which has the most general benefit for everyone. And that is ilm. Knowledge, the best thing to do. Greatest thing to do. The most beneficial thing to do. The greatest means of charity to people is to seek and to teach knowledge. Greatest act of ibadah. He says they have to constantly pay attention to this beneficial principle in everything that they do. Small or large, major or minor. Whenever they teach, whenever they review, whenever they study, whenever they research, whenever they debate, whenever they listen, whenever they allow others to read upon them or to them, when they write books, when they memorize, when they repeat their lessons, whatever they're doing a review, they must make sure that they're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Going from one class to another, one sitting to another, walking, driving, flying, running, on your feet, wherever you're going, make sure that it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says even when they buy books, Allahu Akbar, in the bookstores, brothers, they go crazy. Books, this book, that book, this copy. Brothers hide books from each other. Lie about how much the book costs, or they'll hide a book if they can't buy it. Only Allah knows if we ever did that. And if we did, may Allah forgive us for that. You go to the bookstore, you see a crazy book that you don't have enough money, you do what? Put it in you take it from the hadith section, you walk all the way to, for example, the comic book section. This was a used bookstore. Or Arabic novels, the crazy novels. It's well known. They have bookstores, they have non-Islamic books in there. So you may take this gym, it's a gym that you can't afford right now. You take it from the hadith section where all the other sharks are going to come swimming, sniffing for blood, and you put it somewhere as a crazy newspaper or magazine section where no one else can find it but you. Next month you get your stipend, or the brothers from America, Canada, they send you your money, you go back to the book, say what? You clear on this? This is a reality. This is a reality. Or certain people says, what sheikh did you get this ijazah from? And he doesn't tell you, or he lies, or he hides the ijazah. I'm the only one with this ijazah in Canada. He says whatever they do, bookstores, wherever you go, you have to do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And make sure that you're looking for the reward. احتساب أجره وثوابه. It's something that has to be stuck to you, like the color of your skin. He says, everything that you do of ilm, teaching, learning, traveling, writing, buying, selling, and whatever it is a means of, he says, quwwatan, strength, obedience, and traveling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to the abode of Allah Azza wa Jalla's generosity. And this, bid'nillahi ta'ala, will be a means of them obtaining the promise. He who treads a path in which he seeks knowledge, Allah will make it easy for him to paradise. He says, so each and every path, hissi or ma'nawi, physical or metaphysical, meaning an actual road, traveling, every time the tire revolves, every spin of the propeller, wherever you're going, or ma'nawi, you learning, that's a path. Even if you're not walking, you're reading. He says it has to be bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, something which is what is included in this. From that which helps the people learn and teach is included in this. When you go to sleep, when you eat, when you drink, everything that you do, all of your movements, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, could be blessed by Allah, the Mighty and the Majestic. And it could be a major means of you getting closer to Allah. Just imagine that lifestyle. Everything that you do is ajr. There's never any loss. You get held up in the airport, you get stopped, you miss your flight, you get rejected. It's a what? It's not a loss. Because I sat there and I read, I sat there, I made istighfar, I sat there and it's never a loss. You're stuck in a traffic jam, it's never a loss. It's always something which is beneficial, because I'm going to a class, I'm going from a class, I'm making review, I'm listening to the Quran and Kareem in my car. It's never ever a loss. Just look how beautiful that life is, and it isn't something which is far-fetched. If you take the right steps, if you do what you're supposed to do, that can be you. It isn't something which is beyond your grasp. That can be you. It sounds dreamy, but bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, it's obtainable for each and every one of you, for those who want it. Tayyib. So that's the first point of advice, is to be sincere. Number 2. Al-buda'atu. Aqraba. Right. Number 2, he says, is tariqat al-talab. Now we're getting more specific. What is the specific manner of seeking knowledge? What's the specific way of seeking knowledge? He says, first and foremost, يَتَعَيَّنُ الْبُدَاءَةُ بِالْأَهَمِ فَالْأَهَمِ. He says you have to prioritize. You have to seek knowledge. You have to learn that which is most important before that which is important. Prioritizing, systematically studying. This is a beautiful science. This is a beautiful book. This is a beautiful class. This is a beautiful scholar. This is a beautiful teacher. This is a beautiful university. But there's something that comes before that. There's something which is more beautiful, something which is more important. So you must prioritize. You must prioritize. You must systematically prioritize. He says, anything from the Sharia sciences and anything which helps the Sharia sciences of Arabic. And he's speaking obviously to who? Arabic speaking people, Arabic reading people, let alone us. Everybody understand this? Even if you come from Arabic or Arabian, Middle Eastern ethnicity, or North African or East African ethnicity. But it doesn't mean that you know grammar. It doesn't mean that you know Nahu and Sarf. It doesn't mean that you know the proper Arabic. Let alone someone whose language is English or French or German. Someone whose language is Urdu, is Hindi. Someone whose language is totally different. So you have to learn Arabic first and foremost. He says, in explaining this is well known. Kathirun ma'ruf. They have spoken about this in detail. The most important point here, he says, يَخْتَلِفُ بِاخْتِلَافِ الْأَحْوَالِ وَالْأَشْخَاصِ. And this differs from person to person, situation to situation, i.e. what? هَذَا هُوَ. There is no set rule. You have to do this book, you can't do that book first. You have to go here, abadan. Person and time. For this one, I say you start off a qatr al-nada. For this one, I say you need to go back to alif ba ta. This one is good for you to go to Kulliyat al-Hadith. And this one may go to Kulliyat al-Sharia. You can say it like that, right? But it don't roll off the tongue the same. Tayyib, barakallahu feek. Tayyib. He says, وَيَنْبَغِي أَنْ يَسْلُكَ أَقْرَبَ. He says, what's necessary here is for you to tread the closest, quickest, fastest path which leads you to your goal and objective. And not necessarily fastest. He says aqrab, closest. Because it may be longer, but it's better. Or maybe shorter, whatever the case may be. Everybody understand this? I.e., efficiency. Efficiency. You have to study efficiently. You have to know what to do. You don't have to study all 4 of these books on the subject. You can summarize it to 2 books, 2.5, 1.5. Yakfi, sufficient. Everybody understand this? And save time, because time is limited and knowledge is what? So much. Khairan inshallah. Very important words. بعد ذلك وأن ينتقي جل يعني أكثر جل همه واشتغاله. طيب, he then says afterwards, after you get the proper system, you get the proper books that you have to study, he says you have to select the books that you're studying. And listen here, how Ibn Sa'di, he mentioned books first. He didn't say anything about what? Teachers or scholars. Showing you that it goes both ways. Everybody understand this? He says he is to select and to pick the books that he wishes to study, the field that he wishes to study, أحسنها وأوضحها وأكثرها فائدة. 3 points for selecting a book. And this also applies to a teacher or a scholar or a sheikh. 3 points. Number 1, أحسنها, the best. وأوضحها, the clearest, the easiest. وأكثرها فائدة, and the one that has the most benefits. Optimizing his time and his efforts. Everybody understand this? And he is to make most of his thinking, his thoughts, his mental energy, his physical energy, his efforts, and perfecting that book. عند الإمكان, to the best of his ability, to the best of his ability. To memorize it. Or if he can't memorize it word for word, then at least do something which is called dirasatu takrir. It's to keep studying it and repeating it until as if he's memorized it. I didn't memorize it word for word, but the moment I hear a sentence, oh, that's from that book. The moment I hear this, oh, it's from this book, on this page, this chapter. Or we get into a discussion, I know where to look it up really, really, really quickly. Everybody understand this? Because it's ma'ani, it's ma'qula. It's clearly, firmly grounded in your head. All right? Even if you don't have the ability to say it word for word. Everybody clear on this? So in other words, there's no excuse. If you have a bad memory, that's tayyib, no problem. You can't memorize the book, but why can't you read the book 20 times or 30 times until it's shibhu mahfuz, as we say. It's as if you've memorized it. You know where to go back to. You can quote it verbatim. Everybody clear on this? He says, and then he should continue to repeat this book. Every time he takes a chapter, a lesson, repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Number 3. ويعقله عرضة فهمه ولا يخلط المسائل بعضها طيب. Then the author, he says, Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah, he says, and after that, what is the responsibility of the alim, the scholar, the learned person, the teacher, for his pupil? Going on both sides. He says that the teacher must look at the mind of the student. He must look how strong or how weak the student is. Strong or weak. And he's not to allow the student to be reckless, he says, to study any book, any text, any manual that is inappropriate. It's too difficult, or it's too easy. It goes on both sides. This book is too difficult or it's too what? Too easy. Sheikh, I'm going to read this book to you. No, la. Why not, Sheikh? Because I said so. You have to do what? Read something bigger. You have the ability to do what? To be greater. He says, he says, if you do this, then you're not being sincere. You're not being transparent to your student. Because a little bit of knowledge that the student understands and comprehends is better than a lot of knowledge that he gets half of. And he's eventually going to misunderstand it or forget it. And he needs to explain, he needs to teach, give examples according to the student's understanding. And he isn't to mix things up. As we always say, mixing what? Things up. Everybody understand this? If you do that accidentally, then that's poor. And if you do it intentionally, then that's evil. To confuse your student and mix him up and give him incorrect things and just not be sincere and transparent with your student. طيب. وينبغي أن لا ينتقل من نوع من أنواع المسائل. He says, and it's unnecessary for the teacher to jump from one subject to the next until the student truly comprehends, until the student has mastered what he has previously taken, because this is connected. Bidnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala is the past and the what? And the future. فأما إذا أدخل لم يحققها عن العود ويحذبه ويحسن أدبه. طيب. Then Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, speaking on the etiquettes of the teacher, is not to mix things up and jumble things and clutter things on the student's plate before the student has properly digested the previous meal. Before the student has digested the what? Previous meal. Less eating and more chewing, more swallowing, more digestion. Don't bring one plate and I'm still chewing this. I'm still eating this. Let the food digest slowly, slowly. Let the student understand and get it slowly. And this is also very important with regards to students who are diligent and they're hungry and they want knowledge. And it says, give us more, ya Sheikh. Teach us more. Give us more time. I want this. I want that. Give me a book. Teach me a book. And the teacher, he may not necessarily explain this to the student. He may make an excuse as if he's lying. I'm busy, I can't, this and that. But in reality, the teacher knows, no, this is the pace that you need to go in. But I'm not going to tell you that. And it's not your business for me to tell you that. It's your business to trust me and follow me. And I know what dosage to give you. Everybody understand this? I know what dosage to give you. How much food to give you. But you say more. No, that's enough for now. Everybody understand this? That's why you have to trust your teacher and trust your teacher's experience. Moving forward. He says, if this happens, فَإِنَّهُ سَبَبٌ لِإِضَاعَةِ الْأَوَّلِ, then it's a means of you wasting what you previously learned. And also misunderstanding what's coming in the future. Everybody understand this? To ruin yourself. He says, then the things, they pile up, they're stacked up, and then the student becomes bored and tired. And he doesn't want to go back to them. So there's no way that the teacher can avoid this. So this goes to show you, you learn how to be a good student. And at the same time, you also have to learn how to be a good what? Teacher. وعلى المعلم النصح للمتعلم بكل ما يقدر عليه من التعليم. He says, and the teacher also has to be transparent and sincere to the student. Everything he has the ability to do. The teacher must be patient upon the student's lack of understanding. Don't be hasty upon the student. Be patient. This teacher also, he says, وعلى عدم أدبه وجفائه. This teacher has to be what? Patient upon some disrespect of the student and lack of cultivation, uncouth, rough edges, doesn't know how to properly respect the teacher, how to ask a question. challenging you, arguing with you, making unnecessary jokes with you, things like this. He says the teacher has to be what? Patient, and not necessarily kick the student to the curb. Don't come back to my class. He says here, مع شدة حرصه وملاحظته. And the teacher at the same time, he has to be very vigilant, he says. Very diligent, very eager to fix the student, to straighten the crooked student, to cultivate the student, to give him class, and to warn him from this barbaric practice that he's upon, of lack of respect, lack of cultivation. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? Whether it's in the classroom or whether it's pertaining to tea. They offer you this type of tea, or leave the tea bag in a cup, or put a full cup of sugar. It says, what is this? La ilaha illallah, this tea that you're offering me. It's horrible. Teacher has to be what? Patient, but at the same time, teach him. This is how we make the tea. Everybody understand this? He says, لأن المتعلم له حق على المعلم حيث أقبل على اشتغال بالعلم الذي ينفعه وينفع الناس وحيث توجه للمعلم دون غيره وحيث كان ما يحمله من العلم عن المعلم هو عينه بضاعة المعلم فيحفظها وينميها ويتطلب بها المكاسب الرابحة فهو الولد الحقيقي للمعلم الوارث له قال تعالى فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب. Ibn Sa'di, he says, and the reason why this is an obligation is because the teacher, he says the student has a right upon the teacher. The student has a right upon the teacher. Whereas this person wants to busy himself with knowledge. He wants to learn, he wants to benefit himself and benefit others. And he came to the teacher, no one else. I came to you. I didn't go to him, I came what? To you. I want to study with you. So the teacher has to respect the student as well and honor the student as well. And the knowledge that this teacher is going to give to the student, he says, he says this is going to be the prophet. The student hopefully will memorize it. The teacher, when he teaches, it grows. The knowledge grows. It enhances. Bidnai ta'ala is a means of success. He says, so in reality, the student is a teacher's real child. That's your action, that's your project, that's your lineage. Your posterity are your disciples. Those are your real children. And they're those who will inherit from you, your heirs. They will take your inheritance. Your children, your real children may not learn from you. Your family member, they may not learn from you. Your children, your people may be the furthest from you. As is well known. Yahya ibn Ma'in, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Arba'atun, he says, La tu'nisu minhum rushdan. He says, 4 types of men, never expect them to be successful. Never expect them to be upon any good. And from them, he says, Wabnul muhaddith. He says, is the son of a hadith scholar. The son of a hadith scholar, in most cases, is not going to be upon hadith like his father. In most cases, he's not going to be strong like his father. There are exceptions to this rule, yes. But in most cases, that's not the case. That's the what? It's not, and it's the stranger who's as'ad bi'ilmi, he has a better portion. He's luckier with the knowledge of this man than his own what? Blood. In ab'ad an-nas, the people that are furthest, an-intifa' bi'ilmi al-alim ahlu, is well known. The people who are sometimes the worst and the furthest from benefiting is a scholar's what? Own family. This is a reality. A person's own what? Family. I may talk to you more than I talk to some of my family members. I may have a more consistent communication with my students than some of my what? Family members. Everybody understand this? So if this person is your son or your daughter, then you are to treat them with a certain type of respect. Everybody clear on this? He then says, quoting from Surah Maryam, فَهَبْ لِي مِنْ لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا, then give me from you, O Allah, a wali. يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ, will inherit me, inherit from the offspring of Jacob. وَالْمُرَادُ وِرَاثَةُ الْعِلْمِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and what's meant here is the inheritance of knowledge and wisdom. فالمعلم مأجور على نفس تعليمه سواء أفهم المتعلم أو لم يفهم فإذا فهم ما علمه أو ما علمه وانتفع به بنفسه ونفع غيره كان أجرا جاريا للمعلم ما دام ذلك النفع متسلسلا متصلا وهذه تجارة بمثلها يتنافس المتنافسون. He says, so the teacher will be rewarded for the sheer act of teaching, regardless whether the student gets it or not. If the student understands what the teacher taught him, and he benefits therewith, and he teaches others, then that is a continuous, everlasting reward for the teacher, as long as that knowledge continues to be handed on and passed down generation to generation. He says, and this is the tijara, this is the trade, this is the commerce, the buying and the selling that the true competitors compete on or compete in. Non-stop, endless reward. I taught you one thing. You teach your family, you teach your students, you go to this masjid. Only Allah knows. Right now, it's a manifestation of what he's saying. Raise your hands if you met Ibn Sa'di. Raise your hands if you know what he looked like if I showed you a picture of him. What can you tell me about this man? Do you think when he wrote this book, honestly, that he thought there would be people in Toronto reading his words, benefiting from his words? Do you think that came across his mind, Mahdi? And look now. At bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, everything that we're learning and benefiting is going what? Back to him. So who doesn't want this, huh? He then says, فَعَلَى الْمُعَلِّمَ أَنْ يَسْعَى سَعْيًا شَدِيدًا في إيجاد هذه التجارة وتنميتها فيها من عمله وآثار عمله. He says, so therefore it is upon the teacher to work really, really hard and establishing this type of trade, to establish this market. It's upon him. And also to make it develop and mature, because it's what he did and from the fruits of his actions. It's his work and the fruits of his work. قال تعالى إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم. Allah says in Surah Yasin, verse 12, indeed we resurrect the dead and we record what they put forth and their footsteps, their athar, what they left behind. فما قدموا ما باشروا عمله وآثارهم ما يترتب على أعمالهم من المصالح والمنافع أو ضدها في حياتهم وبعد مماتهم. He says this ayah means ما قدموا, what they put forth, what they did directly with their own hands. Allah says we resurrect the dead and we record what they put forth, meaning what they did themselves. The teacher taught what? Ilm. He did that himself. Bashara. He says وآثارهم, and their traces or their footsteps. He says ما ترتب على أعمالهم. He says that which was a result, that which their actions had spawned of benefits for the people, of helping the people, of establishing good, beneficial things, or the opposite. You misled people, you tricked people, you deceived people in their lives and after their lives. During their lives, it's written down before and after. وينبغي أن يراقب المتعلم بكل طريق وينشطه ولا يمله بإشغاله بما يعصر على فهمه من أنواع العلم ومفرداته. And it's upon the teacher to inspire the learner, to incite the learner, to push the learner بكل طريق, any way he knows how, and to make him have the necessary energy and the vigor to be active and not to bore the student, with that which is too hard or too difficult to learn from the different types of ilm. Adab al-talib, tfaddali. أن يوقر معلمه, هذا مفعول. لما له. He says, as far as etiquettes of the learner, going back to the student, then it's upon the learner to respect his teacher, to honor his teacher, and to uphold the utmost amount of etiquettes, or the utmost amount of good manners that he possibly can. For two reasons: the general right that he has over him, and the specific right that the teacher has over the student. حق العالم العام. من يرشد ويو. As far as the general right that the alim has, then he's teaching the people. He's teaching the creation. He's giving them answers. So he has the right of the muhsineen, the good doers, the benefactors. With sadaqah, with wealth, one's physical strength, those that are good doers to the people. Public servants, they help out the people, to give to the people. So that's one right. He says, and there's no ihsan, there's no good doing greater, bigger, and better than teaching the people about their religion and educating them about that which they're ignorant of, and informing them and pointing out their intention, that which they forget about. ويحصل من الخير وانقماع الشر ونشر الدين والمعارف النافعة ما هو من أنفع شيء للموحدين. He says, and when they do this, not only is it good that they're establishing and pushing and propagating, but the evil, the bad, becomes stifled. Becomes what? Becomes stifled. There's so much good that the evil has to do what? Lessen. There's not enough room in the town for this major a house of drugs or prostitution or alcohol, casino, and for this major operation of khair. It's just not enough room. Especially if the khair, if the haqq is strong, if it's outward, if it's boisterous, it's loud. It's just not, it's not enough room in one block. It's not enough room in one house. One of the two has to dominate the other. One of the two has to what? Has to dominate the what? Dominate the other. Everybody understand this? It's just that simple. He says here, and this is from the most beneficial things that takes place for the people of Tawheed. وَلِمَنْ أَتَى مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِهِمْ وَغَيْرِهِمْ فَلَوْلَا الْعِلْمُ كَانَ النَّاسُ كَالْبَهَائِمِ فِي ظُلْمَةٍ يَتَخَبَّطُونَ. And everything that takes place, the children, the offspring, and if it wasn't for knowledge, people would be like cattle, beasts of burden, wandering blindlessly in darkness. فَالنُّورُ الَّذِي يُهْتَدَى بِهِ فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ وَالْحَيَاةُ لِلْقُلُوبِ وَالْأَرْوَاحِ وَالدِّينِ وَالدُّنْيَا وَالْبَلَدُ الَّذِي لَيْسَ فِيهِ مَنْ يُبَيِّنُ لِلنَّاسِ أُمُورَ دِينِهِمْ ويرشدهم لما ينتابهم مما هم في غاية الضرورة إليه قد فقد أهله من ضروراتهم ومصالحهم ما يضر فقده بدينهم ودنياهم. He says here, knowledge is the light with which is guidance in darkness. It's nourishment for the hearts and for the souls, for the deen and the dunya. And the country, the city, the town, the province, the village that doesn't have anyone to explain to the people their religion and guide them and instruct them. He says that which they're in the utmost need of, he says, and these people, they're missing out on a very necessary staple component of their faith and of their worldly life. They're lacking to a great extent. فمن كان هذا إحسانه وأثره على الخلق كيف لا يجب على كل مسلم محبته وتوقيره والقيام بحقوقه. He says, so one who's like this, how can it not be mandatory upon everyone to love him and respect him and to uphold his or her rights? حق العالم الخاص. تفضل يا أخي الكريم. على المحسن طيب Sheikh, hopefully in the next module بإذن الله تعالى, not every single class, but we're going to try to switch it up. Sheikh, maybe next time I'll like to sit towards the board. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll have another board for the brothers as well. Dim the lights and use the laser pointer. That way we can follow each word. Inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah khairan. As far as the specific right that the alim has, then he goes on to say about how he was generous with his knowledge, how he was diligent and earnest to teach the students. He says parents, mothers, and fathers, what they put forth to their children is incomparable to that which the scholar and the teacher puts forth to his students, teaching them knowledge, simple, basic knowledge before the difficult and burdensome types of knowledge. He says, giving the most precious time that they have, giving them the most precious thoughts and pieces of advice that they have to the best of their ability. He says that's greater than the parents. If someone gives you a gift, the Sheikh says, a material possession as a gift, and that thing may not remain, it may go away. I give you a bottle of oil, some cologne, you use it all up, it goes away, khalas. Then there's a basic right that you have to the one who gave you that gift. Being grateful, being thankful. You thought about me, alhamdulillah. He says if that's the case with something that's material, then what about the knowledge that the people of knowledge give? What are those hadaya, gifts? He says kathira and mutanawiya. Many of them, and not just a lot, but he says diverse, different types of gifts. A fatwa, a hadith, a sharh, a class, a khutbah, a book, a visit. There's so many different gifts that the teacher gives you. He says things that will benefit you or benefit it after death. He says this is something that shows the tremendous right that they have. A person has to be respected. وعدم الخروج عما أشار إليه مما ينفعه من الأمور التي قد جربها هو أعرف بها منه من كيفيات تعليمه ونحوها مما ليس لغيره. And the experience of the alim, that he's been there, he's done that before you. طيب احترام العالم فضلي وليجلس بين يديه متأدبا ويظهر حاجته. هذا مضاف إليه. يصغي متطلب. مستحسنا. طيب, the next point, احترام العالم, is respecting the scholar, respecting the teacher, the one that you're sitting with. He says when you sit in front of them, you should have adab, and you should manifest and show that you really need his or her knowledge. Yudhir, like we say, emptying your cup. Don't come with facts and information. I know, I got it. Or as many brothers, they say, Sahih, 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 Sheikh. Right. Everybody understand this? They say, right. No. Thinking that you know as much or know more, which maybe you do. But if he's your teacher, then you're not supposed to appear like that. Make dua for him in front of him and behind his back. And whenever the teacher gives you a fa'idah, either athafahu, he gives you a gem, a jewel, or he explains something that's problematic, فَلَا يُظْهِرْ أَنَّهُ قَدْ عَرَفَهُ قَبْلَهُ, then you should not show that you knew it beforehand. Everybody understand this? He gives you a fa'idah, something that you already learned. What you see, according to Ibn Sa'di, you should say, what, Sheikh Jami', what? Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, Ustad. Even though I've been through that. Now what? Everybody understand this? Very important. Look at the psychology here that Ibn Sa'di is breaking down. Everybody understand this? Even if you know it, you don't have to necessarily tell the what? Teacher that you know that. Let alone something that you what? Don't even what? That you didn't even know. You give a fighter, they don't say anything. They don't make la. He says here, listen carefully, pay attention to the fa'idah regarding that which you know, let alone that which you what? Don't know. He says, well, he had that. He says, and this is a general etiquette with everybody. With what? Think about your child. What do you do when your young child comes up to you and says, Abby, I learned in school today something. Abby, did you know that such and such? Abby, did you know this? Did you know that? What is the first thing you say as a parent? Yeah, of course I know that. Common sense. You're in the second grade. I'm a grown man. What's the first thing you say to your child? What do you say? Oh, really? Jazakallah khairan. Tell me more what you learned. Because that is going to harm the child and push the child away from sharing what he has learned. Everybody understand this? This is deep psychology here. Everybody clear on this or not? طيب. He says, anybody that you deal with, religious and worldly issues, al-amalu idha akhta al-muallim. Yalla. Naam. Bismillah. فلينبهه ولطف. ها سامر. الله المستعان. طيب. بل يأتي موشه قلبه. يصحبه طيب. What do you do if your teacher makes a mistake, Adam? This is considered to be a finely tuned etiquette of learning. What do you do if your teacher says something's wrong? He quoted the ayah, and the ayah is not like that. He said the hadith is here, it's not there. He said something with the wrong i'rab, whatever the case may be. He says whenever the teacher makes any mistake, the first step is to correct the teacher. But not necessarily correct him. He says, فَلْيُنَبِّهُ, point it out to him. بِرِفْقٍ وَلُطْفٍ, gently, courteously. بِحَسَبِ الْمَقَامِ, listen, according to the situation. I.e., you sitting with the teacher directly, just you and him, it's not like 300 students. Your personal ustadh. It's not like the general teacher in the class. Bihasab what? Al-maqam. Once more, it's what? Formless. There's no one what? Rule. You may have a close relationship with your teacher. You may not. Your teacher may be harsh. Your teacher may not be welcoming to any type of mistake. Huh? We heard this from many of our mashaykh in Medina, in the College of Hadith. Alhamdulillah, I didn't do this, but other students, they would go to them after the exam. Ya Shaykh, Jazakallah khairan. Kayf hada. One teacher said, I've been teaching this year, 30 years I've been teaching this subject. 30 sana. You're not even 30 years old yet. Who are you to ask me about this test? And he's dead wrong. He's wrong. The student is right. Fi'lan. Everyone understand this? And there are other mashayikh and other teachers that they don't mind. They say, Wallahi, Jazakallah khairan. Ahsant. Shukran. Bihasab ish? Al-maqam. According to the situation. Formless. He says, and he should not say to the teacher, akhta'ta, you messed up, you made a mistake. No, la. Huh? Samir? Tayyib? He says what? It's not like how you just said it. Laysa al-amru kama taqul. It's not like that, Sheikh. He says rather he should mention ibara, a phrase which is gentle, subtle, with which the teacher will realize the mistake that he just made. And smart people, they pick up on what? Signs, isharat. He says, Duna an yatashawwasha qalbuhu, without messing his mind up and his head up, disturbing him. There's no doubt about that. You're in a class, a student cuts you off, even if it's an accident, and reading, he just feels a little itchy. Feels a little what? Itchy. They cut you off. Oh, no. It's shawash. It can happen. Or the shaitan comes with ego. You want to really humble the student. This is a mushkila now. Is a problem what? It's a problem now. He says this is from the necessary obligatory rights. And not even that, he says, ad'a. It has a better percentage and chance for the teacher to accept the error that he made. Listen carefully to this golden principle, Adam, and take this with regards to studying and with regards to da'wah or anything else. He says, فَإِنَّ الرَّدَّ الَّذِي يَصْحَبُهُ سُوءُ الْأَدَبِ وَإِزْعَاجُ الْقَلْبِ يَمْنَعُ مِنْ تَسَوُّرِ الصَّوَابِ وَمِنْ قَصْدِهِ. He says, because when a person says that you made a mistake, but it comes in a disrespectful manner, and it's something which clearly annoys and bothers your heart, then it prevents you from understanding what is being said. It prevents you from realizing what's right. Because the only thing you see is the ugliness and the negativity of how the person is approaching you. Certain human beings, they'll say, you know what, you're right. Even though you don't have the proper etiquette, sahih. But the average human being is what? Is going to fall victim to what? The bad etiquettes. Everybody understand this? Manners are crucial in human psychology. How you ask, how you say it. Everybody understand this? This is crucial. Moving forward. الرجوع عن الخطأ. وكما أن هذا لازم على المتعلم فعلى المعلم إذا أخطأ أن يرجع إلى الحق ولا يمنعه قول قاله ثم رأى الصواب في خلاف من مراجعة الحق والرجوع إليه فإن هذا علامة الإنصاف والتواضع للحق فالواجب اتباع الصواب سواء جاء على يد الصغير أو الكبير. He says, when the student makes a mistake, the learner makes a mistake, he reads it wrong, or he said it wrong, then he should return to the truth as well. And he shouldn't allow anything that he previously thought or said or read to prevent him from going back to the proper way of doing it. And that's because returning to the truth is mandatory. Humbling yourself to the truth is mandatory. You have to be just, you have to be fair. No matter who brings it, someone small or someone big, someone young or someone old. ومن نعمة الله على المعلم أن يجد من تلاميذه من ينبه على خطئه ويرشده إلى الصواب ليزول استمراره على جهله فهذا يحتاج إلى الشكر لله تعالى ثم إلى الشكر من أجر الله الهدى على يديه متعلما كان أو غيره. الله أكبر. Ibn Sa'di says, listen to this beautiful speech right here. He says the teacher, he says a blessing upon the teacher is to have a student that will correct him. That's a blessing, not a curse. And that is because he guides him back to the truth. And if he doesn't, that means the teacher will continue to be upon what? Incorrect statement. So that's a blessing in actuality. So it's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he needs to thank Allah for that. And then thank the one whom Allah Azza wa Jalla placed this blessing on his hands. Came to him via this person or that person. Now, whether he's a student or what? Anyone what? Anyone else? How many teachers can say they can behave like this? How many teachers can actually say that? That they'll thank the student in the tahfidh for correcting them when they said it wrong. Kam, Simon. Billah alayk. How many people can actually say that they're trying to implement this? So this goes to show you how the teacher has to be what? Humble. And also goes to show with regards to HadithDisciple school of thought is that everything about being a master is learnt from the pupil. You learn from the student. You learn about yourself, you learn about others, you learn about teaching. You're still a learner, even though you're what? A teacher. That's something that should go in the manual. Moving forward, قول العالم الله أعلم فيما لا يعلم. The next etiquette is for the learned person, the scholar, the teacher, when he's asked about something that he doesn't know, to say, Allah knows best. Allah knows best. ومن أعظم ما يجب على المعلمين أن يقولوا لما لا يعلمونه الله أعلم. He says from the greatest things that teachers must say, scholars must say, for that which they don't know is Allahu A'lam. Allah knows best. وليس هذا بناقص لأقدارهم بل هذا مما يزيد قدرهم ويستدل به على كمال دينهم وتحريهم للصواب. He says when they say this, it doesn't take away from their status. It doesn't diminish the respect that you have for them. Rather, it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. And it shows that their religion is good and strong and they want the truth. How is this, you may ask? كيف هذا? If you ask me a question about Nahu or about Sirah or about Tafsir or Hadith, this is Hadith Sahih or this and that, I say Allahu Alam. Or come get back with me. Allahu Alam, get back with me please. Send it to me later. Let me think about it. Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know the basic simple question. See, he's not that strong. He's not went to Meccan. He didn't study this book and that book. He says rather it's a benefit. And obviously these benefits are only for people that are noble people. As far as someone who's low and base, then he can't benefit from that speech. He can't what? He can't benefit from that speech. If you say Allahu Alam or Yahtaj another, I have to review, backbite, make gossip. It's only for a student who's what? Has a good head on his or what? Shoulders. Someone of good stock, good background. Now, he says, and there are many benefits of refraining from speaking about that which you don't know. Pay close attention. The Shaykh Rahimahullah, he says that which you what? Don't know. And it doesn't mean that you blame someone for answering a question or teaching something that they know. That's the extremism today. If a person knows and there's nothing that prevents him from answering in the Mahdhur Shari, then it is obligation to what? To give that knowledge and to spread that ilm. Everybody understand this? Everybody clear on this? Khairan inshallah. As we said the other day, it said what? I'm not bossy. I just have what? Better ideas. It's not that I want to control and be the dominant one, but your ideas just aren't that good. And my ideas are. So if I know something and I answer the question, he say, he has to say Allahu Alam. Shuf, he sat in the question and answer session for 2 hours and he didn't stop on one question. Shows that he's arrogant. He thinks he's the ulama, he thinks he's the mashayikh. He answered every single question that was thrown to him within 3 minutes. Brother asked me, he says, what are you trying to prove by answering a question in 3 minutes, ya akhi? What are you trying to prove? Why are you trying to show off to the people? SubhanAllah. This is sad. He says, وَفِي تَوَقُّفِ عَمَّا لَا يَعْلَمُ فَوَائِدُ كَثِيرَةٌ. He says there are many benefits of you stopping and refraining from speaking about that which you don't know. Many benefits. Minha, number 1. And هَذَا هُوَ الْوَاجِبُ عَلَيْهِ. He says, first and foremost, this isn't an option. You don't have a choice in the matter to answer a question that you don't know. You have to say Allahu Alam. You have to stop. So if that's the case, if that's the obligation, then when you do that, you now are doing what? It's ibadah. You're getting what? Reward. Because you're تمثل إيش؟ تمتثل الواجب الأمر. You're implementing Allah's command to you. Number 2, ومنها أنه إذا توقف وقال الله أعلم فما أسرع ما يأتيه علم ذلك من مراجعته أو مراجعة غيره فإن المتعلم إذا رأى معلمه قد توقف جد واجتهد في تحصيل علمها وإتحاف المعلم بها فما أحسن هذا الأثر. He says the second fruit is that when you stop or you say Allahu Alam, he says that in most cases the benefit comes to you really, really fast, really quick. You'll get the benefit. Whether he goes back to the books, he asks someone else, or the student brings the benefit. And that's because when a student sees that his teacher is being troubled or doesn't know something or forgot something, it should bother the student. Let me help out the sheikh. Let me help out my teacher. Let me go find it for him. Everybody understand this? He says here, so he gives the gift to the teacher, and how beautiful this is. And wallahi, we saw this. We saw this in Medina. We saw this in Yemen. Teacher doesn't know something, the sheikh doesn't know something. He said, go to the library. Go get this book, go get this volume. They come back, come to the majlis. Naam ya sheikh, qala hafidh ad-dar qutni rahimahullah kadha, and they read from the ilm. Khalas, got the faida. But if you act like you don't know, or try to jumble around and play around with it, then the students are not necessarily going to go back and research it. Or you yourself. So this, he says this goes to show us another principle of disciplism is what? Is finding good in every situation. To find good in every situation. And oftentimes to invert and to flip the bad to the good. It's a good thing you getting stuck. Or you messing up, you read something and you forget something. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. As we said, and as we put in our manual, we learn little from victory, but we learn much from what? Defeat. We learn little from victory, but we learn a lot from defeat. Everybody understand this? You go back to the drawing board. You go back to the gym. Figure out, where did I go wrong? How did I lose that game? But if you win, you don't always necessarily keep that type of spirit, that hunger. You become complacent, laid back. You become arrogant, conceited. Everybody understand this? You blow out a team. How much are you actually going to learn from that game? Honestly. How much, Awali? Would you get blown out? You're going to what? No doubt. You're going to figure out, where did we go wrong? ومنها, number 3, أنه إذا توقف فيما لا يعرف كان دليلا على ثقته وأمانته وإتقانه فيما يجزم به من المسائل كما أن من عرف منه الإقدام على الكلام فيما لا يعلم كان ذلك داعيا للريب في كل ما يتكلم به حتى في الأمور الواضحة. Is that if he doesn't stop, or if he does stop, and he doesn't answer, he doesn't know, he says that's a proof about how much he's mastered and how much he's thoroughly understood that which he does talk about. And when he is decisive, huwa kada, huwa fi kada, al-hukum kada, it's like this, it's like that. It shows that when he does speak decisively, that he's what? He actually what? He actually knows it. Because if you ask him about something, he says, I don't know, or Allahu Alam, let me make review. That shows that it's not from his normal practice to talk about that which he isn't what? Really strong and well versed in. Once again, it shows taking adversity and turning it into what? Everyone said the bad and turning it into the what? to the good, and it's never a bad situation. It's never a bad situation. Everybody understand this? So you have more respect for your teacher. There's no doubt that if he's talking like this, then that means what? That's how it is. And the proof of that is, the moment he's asked about something that he doesn't know, he immediately what? Allahu alam, la adri, ma'alesh, I'm sorry, ma'alesh, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. But he says, naam, it's permissible. Then you have trust that he's read volumes and studied and listened and made a thorough review of the issue from the speech of the fuqaha. Tayyib. He says, and if that isn't the case, if a person always talks and he doesn't stop when he doesn't know, he says, then that is a means of people doubting that which is clear and simple. I don't know about that. I don't know. Allahu alam. You start doubting even the clear and the obvious. Everybody understand this? ومنها, the next fa'idah, the next fruit, أن المعلم إذا رأى منه المتعلمون التوقف فيما لا يعلم كان ذلك تعليما لهم وإرشادا لهذه الطريقة الحسنة والاقتداء بالأحوال والأعمال أبلغ من الاقتداء بالأقوال. Ibn Sayyidi rahimahullah, he says, the next benefit is that when the students see that this is the etiquette of the teacher, it's a means of them learning from him instructing him to follow this beautiful mode. And he says, in teaching through actions and situations is far more profound than teaching through statements. Wallahi, the sheikh can say, if you don't know, say Allahu Alam. They get the point. It's not the same as them being in the majlis with hundreds of people live on TV and he says, La adri, I don't know. That's going to have a profound effect on the students. Everybody understand this? And it's going to make them to copy him in that. Everybody understand this? Like some of the stories we talked about the Prophet's masjid. Seeing it, living it. It's not the same as you just hearing it. Then the next point, the Shaykh rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, المناظرة بين المتعلمين ومما يعين على هذا المطلوب أنه يفتح المعلم للمتعلمين باب المناظرة في المسائل والاحتجاج وأن يكون القصد واحدا واتباع ما رجحته الأدلة فإنه إذا جعل هذا الأمر نصب عينيه وأعينهم تنورت الأفكار وعرفت المآخذ والبراهين واتبعت الحقائق وكان القصد الأصلي معرفة الحق واتباعه. Next point, which many people try to disrespect and do away with, al-munadhara, is debating. Debating among the students, debating. He says from that which helps the students learn and succeed and grow and mature is for them to debate, for them to fight, for them to spar, for them to fence, go at each other. Bismillah. You have the ruling that is permissible and you have the ruling that is impermissible. Fight. You prove him wrong. The first person to knock the other one on the ground wins. Everybody understand this? Is very important. It teaches you how to fight when they're sparring with each other and instead of an actual fight in the street. Everybody understand this? You may have to defend this position one day. You may have to refute this person who's saying this falsehood in college, on the bus, on the train, in the masjid one day. If you're not sharp, if you're not trained, if you're not skilled, what's going to happen? Who's going to look, say, well, maybe Islam isn't the truth. The Christian guy totally demolished this student of Medina. What did he say? Some people what? Waliyadhu billah. He said, watching YouTube videos in Saudi on Christianity. Waliyadhu billah. Everybody understand this? If you're not strong and sharp, you may get hurt. Let alone others may what? Follow you in that. Islam can't be the truth if he lost like that. He demolished them. He couldn't even answer a basic question about the Quran from this Christian pastor. And then the people, they start following Christianity, waliyadhu billah, and leave Islam. So it's not a joke. It's not what? It's not a joke. And this is a serious technique of learning and teaching, and as munadhara is what? Debating. He says, as long as the intention is one objective, and that is to follow the truth, follow what the evidence proves. And this is with regards to an actual debate. And that me and you, Omar, we're actually different on an issue. You say it's permissible for a man to wear his pants beneath his ankles, and I say it isn't. And this is what I actually believe. Let alone if the debate is simulated. And no one is actually debating on the issue that they actually believe in. It's a simulated debate. Everybody understand this? He says, Bidnai ta'ala, the teacher should make this the apple of his eye, and the apple of the eyes of his students. And when this takes place, then people will be enlightened. And they'll know where and how. How to write, how to discuss, how to speak, how to search, how to research, how to look for loopholes in your opponent's argument. systematically, strongly. He says, and the only thing what's meant by this is finding the truth, knowing the truth, and following it. That's it. Not for me to show you that I'm more knowledgeable than you, or you're more knowledgeable than me. Not to embarrass you or for you to embarrass me. Everybody saying this? That's the only purpose is for us to what? Learn together. Everybody clear on this? Moving forward, dhammu ta'assub. Another very important point, which has become a staple today, unfortunately, and that is fanaticism, bigotry, clinging and sticking blindly to an opinion or a sheikh or a madhab or a jama'ah or whatever it is that you're sticking to and clinging to. فَالْحَذَرَ الْحَذَرَ مِنَ التَّعَصُّبِ لِلْأَقْوَالِ وَالْقَائِلِينَ. He says, beware, beware of fanaticism and bigotry to statements and people who make those statements. Just take those words right there. That's the lesson. Khalas. That's it right there. Beware of being a fanatical follower of a statement or person who what? Makes this statement. No matter how high and how lofty a person is. وَأَنْ يَجْعَلَ الْقَصْدَ مِنَ الْمُنَاظَرَةِ وَالْمُبَاحَثَةِ نَصْرَ الْقَوْلِ الَّذِي قَالَهُ أو قاله من يعظمه فإن التعصب مذهب للإخلاص مزيد لبهجة العلم مؤمن للحقائق فاتح باب الحقد والخصام الضار كما أن الإنصاف هو زينة العلم وعنوان الإخلاص والنصح والفلاح. Ibn Sa'di, he says, if a person's intention behind debating and arguing is to support his view or support the one who said that, the one whom he respects, he says, then this ta'assub, it snatches ikhlas, takes it away. It removes the light and the splendor of knowledge, and it causes people to be blind from reality. Mu'min, causes you not to see what's in front of you. You can't see anything. And it also opens up the door for malice. It opens up the door for the impermissible, blameworthy type of debating and arguing. Just like a person being fair, being just. He says that's zinatul ilm. That's the crown, the jewelry of knowledge, the beauty of knowledge. That's the hinna of knowledge. It adorns it. It makes it look nice. And it is the signpost of sincerity. Since he says transparency and success. Next point. التحذير من طلب العلم للدنيا. He says being careful, beware of seeking knowledge for worldly purposes. ثم الحذر من طلب العلم للأغراض الفاسدة والمقاصد السيئة من المباحات والممارات والرياء والسمعة وأن يجعله وسيلة للأمور الدنيوية والرياسة فليست هذه حال أهل العلم الذين هم أهله في الحقيقة ومن طلب العلم واستعمله في أغراضه السيئة فليس له في الآخرة من خلاق. He says, beware, O student of knowledge, of learning for the bad reasons, the incorrect reasons, the improper reasons, showing off, being in the spotlight, the limelight, arguing, debating and fighting people, showing off, getting a reputation, becoming famous. Beware of seeking knowledge just for worldly purposes and worldly leadership. He says this is not the quality, these aren't the qualities, this isn't the character, this is not the characteristics of the people of knowledge who are the true possessors of that knowledge in reality. He says anyone who seeks knowledge or uses knowledge for his own personal low desires, he will have nothing in hereafter. Will have nothing in hereafter. No fruit from all of that which he put forth and sacrificed. Next point, al-amalu bil-ilm. Acting upon one's knowledge. And we'll skip that, not because it isn't important, but because we explained that within the 10 obstacles. Even though we mentioned the class again, but obviously we're running, not short, but we want to maximize our time. We want to maximize our time. Khair, inshallah. Then he goes on to say, tariqatu ta'lim, how to teach. He goes on to speak on the proper way of teaching. Making examples, making illustrations. Giving the people one thing at a time, not moving on until you perfected it. As we explained, we'll skip that as well for lack of time. And our main focus is on actual students and not teachers. تعاهد محفوظات المتعلمين وينبغي تعاهد محفوظات المتعلمين ومعلوماتهم بالإعادة والامتحان والحث على المذاكرة والمراجعة وتكرار الدرس فإن التعلم بمنزلة الغرس للأشجار والدرس والمذاكرة والإعادة بمنزلة السقي لها وإزالة الأشياء الضارة عنها لتنمو وتزداد على الدوام. He says, looking after the students with regards to what they have memorized, with regards to what they have memorized. You have to look after them, test them, give them quizzes, pop quizzes. Encourage them to review, encourage them to repeat it. Encourage them to have study sessions. Because the knowledge and learning, he says learning is like what? Planting a tree. The class, the review, the revision is like pouring the water. So it got to be something that's constantly practiced on. Then the Shaykh rahimahullah, he says, Adabu Zamala, he says the etiquettes of being a friend. The etiquettes of being a comrade, of being a peer, someone being your contemporary, your classmates. What should you and what shouldn't you do? Something that we need. Many of us, we don't know this basic principle. It's how to be somebody's friend, how to listen to somebody, how to keep somebody's secret, how to look after, how to be there for your brother when he needs you. How to keep his amana. Many of us don't know this, unfortunately. Even if the people differ later on, even if the people, they turn different ways later on, this person was once your friend. He was once your close companion. You knew things about him, vice versa. This is very important. This person was once your teacher. Even if you differ with him later on, or you left his class, you can't just disrespect him. You can't just discard the teacher and disregard what they did for you. It doesn't work like that. وكما أن للمتعلم توقير معلمه والأدب معه فكذلك, he says here, أقرانه. He says here, just like the learner has to respect his teacher, have the proper etiquette with his teacher, he must also do the same with his classmates. والمتعلمون معه عليه من مراعاة حقوقهم. He has to look after them. He has to respect them. He says, فالصحبة في طلب العلم تجمع حقوقا كثيرة لأن لهم حق الأخوة والصحبة وحقوق الانتماء إلى معلمهم وأنهم بمنزلة أولاده وحقا لنفع بعضهم بعضا. He says here, your classmates have several rights over you, several rights. First and foremost, they're your brothers, same as sisters. He says they're your friends, your companions. He says all of you are attributed to one teacher, and you're all like his sons, his daughters, and you benefit and help each other out. ولهذا ينبغي أو ينبغي أن لا يدع ممكنا من نفع. طيب. Then he goes on to mention some more etiquettes with regards to this, and how to meet up and take advantage of their time, as we read in Ottawa. Moving forward, مدار الاشتغال بالناس. He says the harm of busying yourself with people, worrying and focusing excessively about other people. وليحذروا من الاشتغال بالناس والتفتيش عن أحوالهم والعيب لهم فإن ذلك إثم حاضر. He says beware of busying yourself with people and searching and looking for what they're doing and how they're doing it. Beware of searching for aib, looking for a blemish, a fault, or a defect. Beware of this, because that is an immediate sin. That's an immediate sin. وَالْمَعْصِيَةُ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ أَعْظَمُ مِنْهَا مِنْ غَيْرِهِمْ. And for scholars and people of knowledge to make disobedience to Allah is far worse, it's far uglier than for anyone else to fall into it. It isn't the same. It's worse, because you know better. You're supposed to know better. You're supposed to have knowledge. You're supposed to be the best of us. We look up to you for guidance, and this is how you behave. Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَلِأَنَّ غَيْرُهُمْ يَقْتَدِي بِهِمْ. And others take their example, like we just said. وَمَنْ كَانَ تَبْعُهُ الشَّرِّ مِنْ غَيْرِهِمْ جَعَلَهُمْ حُجَّةً لَهُ ولأن الاشتغال بالناس يضيع المصالح النافعة والوقت النفيس ويذهب ببهجة العلم ونوره. He says here, and those people who automatically they want something bad or negative, they'll just use an excuse to implement what's inside of them. See, Sheikh said it, or the student of knowledge, he said it, he's the same, so why not? Why can't I do it? Last but not least, he says when you busy yourself with people, you waste your own time. You waste your own efforts, your own energy. And it takes away the light of knowledge. You're just being crabby and nasty. Everybody's astray. Everybody's dal. Everybody's mudil. Everyone's jahil. No one but me, but us, but my sheikh. That makes knowledge look ugly. That extinguishes the flame of light of ilm. It's no longer a beautiful thing anymore. And this is what we live, or how we live in the West. They see sunnah, knowledge, this, salaf. No, not in this masjid. And it's supposed to be the exact opposite. When they see religious people trying to implement the sunnah, talking about knowledge in the ulama, they're supposed to welcome that knowledge. They're supposed to beg. They're supposed to fight over you coming to our masjid in our center and giving a class and giving a khutbah. And not the exact opposite. We don't want that in our masjid. Everybody understand this? It uglifies knowledge. Al-qana'atu bil-yasir. Next piece of advice is to suffice yourself with just a little. وَعَلَمْ أَنَّ الْقَنَاعَةَ بِالْيَسِيرِ وَالْاقْتِصَادِ فِي أَمْرِ الْمَعِيشَةِ مَطْلُوبٌ مِنْ كُلِّ أَحَدٍ. No, for sure, being pleased and content with a little and being moderate with regards to earning a living and how you live and eat and drink and sleep is something that is expected of everyone. Every Muslim is supposed to be like this. And we've said this in Ottawa as well. And the student of knowledge is none other than someone who's implemented the fundamental things, locked them down, and then built upon them. The champion is no one than a normal, average player. Then comes the talent and the skills and the fancy stuff. But he is fundamentally sound. So the responsibility of the normal Muslim is the same responsibility for the student of knowledge, for the scholar. It's no different. They're all Muslims. And he says being pleased with a little. It doesn't mean that you can't have a lot, but that you're what? I'm pleased with a little. I'm happy with eating bread and water. And if I get a 4-course meal, alhamdulillah. But if I have bread and water, it's not a problem. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. It's no problem. I'm content. I'm pleased with that. And if Allah gives me more, then alhamdulillah. Everybody understand this? He says, لا سيما المشتغلون بالعلم. He says, especially those who busy themselves with knowledge. They have to have greater zuhd and greater qana'ah. فإنه كالمتعين عليهم. He says, as if it's mandatory upon them. لأن العلم وظيفة العمل. And then he goes on to speak about that and the importance of that. Very important. And we said that before, is that if you go overseas to Egypt, if you're in Egypt now in Idris, and you can just handle just a little, and deal with just a little, and be pleased with a little, when a lot comes to you, what will happen? You'll be more grateful, and it won't get in the way. It won't preoccupy you from knowledge. And if you can suffice yourself with a little bit, you'll never, ever be uncomfortable wherever you go. Everybody understand this? If you have true patience, it's never an issue being stuck in traffic, being held up. It's never an issue. But you're always in a rush and hasty, and it has to be like this, instant gratification. Then you're going to live a miserable life. You're going to live a miserable life if you're never, ever content, you're never pleased, and you're never happy. So it's very important. Seeking knowledge. If you're content with just a basic meal, a basic house, basic car, that saves you time, money, and energy. The store next to you or the restaurant next to you, you can eat full and tamis. Eat the bread, the chapati type bread, or if you have an extra real, you put cheese in it. Extra real, you put what? Put cheese in it. Imal Jubin, you tell them. Tayyib, and you have your food, your galaba, whatever, your adas. If that's sufficient, that saves you 10 minutes, 20 minutes going to get chicken. That saves you half an hour waiting to get laham and ruz. That saves you time going there and waiting there. Everybody understand this? Not saying it's haram to eat meat, it's haram to eat chicken. That's not the point. But it saves you time. And then when you have extra time, la bas. So being sufficient with Allah is giving just a little, it maximizes your ability and your time to study. Everybody understand this? Only Allah knows how many brothers we saw leave Medina and go home because they couldn't live like that. They couldn't live like that. Brothers in Medina, there was a rat in his kitchen. His wife saw the rat. She went crazy, started screaming and hollering. Literally, it's a true story. Next thing you know, the brothers, he's in the Imada, you see him, he's getting his ticket, his visa, he's going back to America. I can't live like this. My wife can't live like this. But the brother who does see the rat and goes crazy, the wife goes crazy, but he says, we're here for what? Because we come here to live and live comfortably. We're here to seek what? Ilm. We come here for a purpose. So malish. Everybody understand this? I'm sacrificing, and I'm pleased with what? Just a what? A little. And then you graduate, you go home, Allah gives you whatever He gives you. You have a big, nice, fancy, comfortable place. Alhamdulillah. And you can appreciate it and you can value it. And the dunya is in your hand and never ever where? In your heart. Bathul ilm. Then the author, he says, spreading knowledge, disseminating knowledge. ومن آداب العالم والمتعلم النصح وبث العلوم النافية بحسب الإمكان. حتى لو تعلم الإنسان مسألة واحدة ثم بثها كان من بركة علمه لأن ثمرات العلم أن يأخذه الناس عنك. Allahu Akbar. He says from the etiquettes of the master and the learner is to be transparent, to be honest and open with the Muslims and give them advice, and to spread beneficial science according to the best of one's ability. Even if a person learns one issue and he then spreads it, he says then that's from the barakah of that knowledge that he just learned. If he learned one thing and spread it, that's from the barakah of what he just learned. And that's because from the fruits of knowledge is for the people to do what? Learn from you and take from you. فَمَنْ شَحَ بِعِلْمِهِ مَاتَ عِلْمُهُ بِمَوْتِهِ. Anyone who's stingy with his knowledge, who's cheap with his knowledge, when he dies, his knowledge also dies with him. No legacy, nothing left. وَرُبَّمَا نَسِيهُ وَحَيٍّ. He says, and he may even forget that knowledge while he's alive. From the fruits of being stingy with your knowledge. كما أن من بث علمه كان حياة ثانية. He says, just like those who spread their knowledge is as if they live twice. They have a second life. وحفظا لما علمه, and is a means of protection of what he has learnt. وجازاه الله من جنس عمله, and Allah Azza wa Jal will give him the rewards based off of what he did. He will reap what he has sown. Everybody understand this? And obviously this isn't to be understood to rush to give dawah, rush to talk and to make this bit. Don't rush. That's another discussion, and that's another side of extremism. You can spread knowledge to a person in your class. It doesn't mean I got to get on YouTube and do it in front of 1 million people. It doesn't mean I have to put myself on the minbar before I actually studied and learned properly. There's a difference here. Al-bath shay, tabligh al-ilm shay, at-tasaddur للدعوة هذا إيش؟ شيء آخر تماما. Last but not least, or before last but not least, the author, he says what? تأليف القلوب. He says fraternizing the hearts, bringing the hearts together, unifying the people, unifying the people's hearts. ومن أهم ما يتعين على أهل العلم معلمين أو متعلمين السعي في جمع كلمتهم وتأليف القلوب على ذلك وحسم أسباب الشر والعداوة. From the most important things upon the learner, upon the scholar, the teacher, is for them to work hard in being unified, for their hearts to be together, and to cut off and to shut every door that leads to vice, that leads to enmity, and that leads to mutual hatred among them. وأن يجعلوا هذا الأمر نصب أعينهم يسعون له بكل طريق لأن المطلوب واحد والقصد واحد والمصلحة مشتركة فيحقق هذا الأمر بمحبة كل من كان من أهل العلم وما له قدم فيه واشتغال أو نفع ولا يدعون الأغراض الضارة تملكهم وتمنعه من هذا المقصود الجليل فيحب بعضهم بعضا ويذوب بعضهم عن بعض ويبذلون النصيحة لمن رأوه منحرفا عن الآخر ويبرهنون على هذا أو على أن النزاع في الأمور الجزئية التي تدعو إلى ضد المحبة والائتلاف لا تقدم على الأمور الكلية التي فيها جمع الكلمة. If I have removed Ibn Sa'di, لو محونا كلام سعدي يقول هذا كلام إيش؟ هذا كلام من؟ مميع. هذا كلام الإخوان. يقول هذا الكلام. If we didn't say there was Ibn Sa'di's kalam, they say what? This is a deviant person talking. You can't say that. The first time we came to Canada, you said you can't even say that. You have to say what? Unity upon kada kada kada. You can't even say this. This is a sad reality that we live in. He says here, for them to make this the most important thing to focus on and to strive any way they know how, for their goal to be one, the objective to be one, and for the benefit to be shared among all of them. And for them, bid'nai ta'ala, to manifest this by loving everyone who's from the people of knowledge. He said what? Everyone from the what? People of knowledge. Not just some. Select a group, select a few, 3, 4, and then the rest. No. Everyone who's from the what? Ahl al-ilm. And those, he says, man lahu qadam. Those who they've done services to knowledge. They made tahqiq of books from the 80s, from the 70s. How many books did he write? How many people benefited from this sheikh? Billahi alayk. Kam takharraj. How many people graduated from his chair, learned from him? How many people? He has a qadam. He has a firm foot in ilm and da'wah. Someone, he says, وَاشْتِغَالٌ, he says, and they busy themselves with this. Last but not least, he says, if that's not the case, what? He says, oh, naf'un. At least people what? Benefited from them. And they shouldn't allow these different ulterior motives to control them, to run them. They shouldn't allow their desires to prevent them from this noble goal. He says they are to love each other, protect each other, help each other, and give advice to those who err, those who go away from that which is correct. And they are to prove, listen to the speech right here, they are to do what? They are to prove على أن النزاع في الأمور الجزئية التي تدعو إلى ضد المحبة والائتلاف لا تقدم على الأمور الكلية التي فيها جمع الكلمة. He says the trivial issues, the subsidiary issues, the issues on the side, the branches, which call them to doing other than loving each other, other than sticking with each other, they are not to be put in front of the major core issues, which is the key to their word being one. Listen to the speech. The small things here in which we differ over and fight over and cause us not to love each other, not to be with each other, he says they are not to be what? Put in front of the what? Al-umur al-kulliyah. The major issues. We don't have to agree on every single thing, Adam. That's not a shart. For you to be upon the sunnah, me upon the sunnah. For me to be from Ahlul Sunnah, that's not. Who said that? You have to agree on every single thing. Every single ijtihad, every issue, me and Sheikh Hassan, we have to agree on. But the core issues, the values, we agree on. And if we differ, if I say something and you do something, najlis, natanasah, natanaqash, with respect, let's see who's right. Bismillah, let's return to the kitab, to the sunnah and ijma'. Let's see who's right. And even if he remains to be upon that view, I still what? Respect you. I still respect you. I keep your honor. This is totally opposite of what we experience today. Every single issue, the people have to agree on. And that's the way. It's unfortunate. He then says, وَلَا يَدْعُونَ أَعْدَاءَ الْعِلْمِ مِنَ الْعَوَامِ وَغَيْرِهِمْ يَتَمَكَّنُونَ مِنْ إِفْسَادِ ذَاتِ بَيْنِهِمْ أو ذَاتِ بَيْنِهِمْ وَتَفْرِيقِ كَلِمَتِهِمْ. And they should not allow the enemies of knowledge, whether they're the normal layman people, don't listen to them, don't study, see, look what's going to happen, this was going to happen, look what's going to happen. Don't allow anyone who's against knowledge to allow them to come and wedge themselves between their brothers and sisters with regards to knowledge. This speech, we need this. This is a very important speech. He goes on to say, min fawaid al-i'tilaf. And then he goes on to speak about the benefits of this. The benefits of this, فإن في تحقيق هذا المقصد الجليل والقيام به من المنافع ما لا يعد ولا يحصى ولو لم يكن فيه إلا أن هذا هو الدين الذي حث عليه الشارع بكل طريق وأعظم من يلزم القيام به. طيب. He then says that this thing here, actualizing this noble cause, is so beneficial. It's impossible for us to sit down and to enumerate, for us to count, for us to bring up all of the fruits that we get from the people having this attitude, having this mindset, and most importantly, implementing and acting upon it. Bi-idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can go back to the original Arabic works. You can also go back to the English translation. If you wish to read everything, the Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala says, وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَسَلَّى. He closes, and alhamdulillah, that's the end of the book. تَمَّتْ رِسَالَةُ Shaykh Abdul Rahman ibn Sa'di. And then we have the index of the book. And we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to begin and allowing us to finish. Walillahi alhamd. And it isn't for us to scorn our efforts. In 3 days, walillahi alhamd, we read over 107 pages. Some of us, we don't do that in a week, a month, a year. We don't finish an entire book. So Allah Azza wa Jalla was graceful and He was kind. Last but not least, I'm not going to make no special long dua for you, so please don't ask me. I'm not saying that that's haram or makruh or bid'ah. I'm not saying that, but I'm just not going to do that. However, what I am going to say, bi-idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it's upon me to be grateful to Allah, to be thankful to Allah. And where do I start with this? Allah made it easy for me to come here, to sit with you. Allah Azza wa Jal made it easy for us to sit with each other. So I'm grateful to Allah for that, for the trip, for the opportunity, and for all the different da'wah experiences, the brothers that I've met, etc. I'm grateful to Allah for that. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all grateful for that. As far as the people, the brothers and the sisters Then, of course, first and foremost, we're going to say the dawah, the center, so on and so forth. But I don't want to start off like that. I want to start off in another way, being the next subhanahu wa ta'ala. With regards to the brothers that have held me down in Ottawa and in Toronto. First and foremost is my friend, Brother Samir, who's been more than generous, more than kind, reaching out to me, hunting me down for dates, appointments, topics, schedules. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you. And I'm grateful for that. Also, my friend and my colleague, Sheikh Abu Umar Abdul Aziz. May Allah bless him as well for all he's done for me. Brother Umar, Brother Abdullah, Brother Ahmed, Abdurrahman's family, everybody who looked after us in Ottawa. It's a pleasure to meet you, Adam, all of the other brothers as well. It's a pleasure to meet all of you brothers that I met and I studied with and traveled with in Ottawa. May Allah bless you well. Also to the disciples of Ottawa who were eager, who were hungry, who wanted to seek, who wanted to learn, who wanted to have classes, who were generous to us as well. Brother Abdul Hayy, all of the shabab there in Ottawa, Abu Hudayfa, and all of the ikhwan and akhawat there that were kind to us and generous to us, we say to you, thank you. Jazakumullahu khairan wa barakallahu fikum. May Allah bless you and reward you in both worlds. As far as Toronto, then alhamdulillah, first I would like to give a shout out to my personal students, the sisters of what we call the dojo. Okay, Sister Hilal, Sister Fatima, Sister Huda, Sister Maryama, Sister Nasra, Sister Ida, Sister Nistaha. All of the sisters, bidnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, who studied with me throughout the year. You were more than kind, you were more than generous. You made time, you sacrificed to set up the classes, to set up the meetings, to ask the questions, to participate in class. Jazakumullahu khairan. I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for having you as my students. Also, with regards to the brothers here, my friend, Sheikh Hassan, Abu Bilal, Jazakallahu khairan, for being warm, for being kind, and for being gracious, for inviting me and giving me the opportunity. I'm grateful, and I say this from the bottom of my heart to you. Brother Awali, Hussam, Muhammad Atta, all of the mashayikh, all of the brothers in the video room, my right-hand man on the trip is Brother Mahdi. Jazakallahu khairan, it was a pleasure meeting you. It's never been a dull, boring moment with you. You were there for me, you looked after me, you helped me out, and I'm grateful for that. And all of the brothers here, Zubair, Hishan, everyone that I met, that I sat with, I traveled with, the young brothers, walillahi alhamd, we're grateful and thankful to Allah for us allowing to be with each other. Sheikh Jama, Sheikh Abu Bakr, all of the mashayikh and the muallimeen and the satida, and Khalid ibn al-Walid Center as well. Thank all of you for your kindness, for your respect, and for your time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it on your scale of good deeds. May Allah Azza wa Jalla allow you to benefit from the little bit that we've given you, and most importantly, allow you to get more, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the dua that we make, not saying inshallah to dua, because it's improper to say that in shi'ta. We're talking about just in general, inshallah, if that's what Allah wills. Last but not least, all of the brothers and the sisters here whose names I know and whose names I don't know. Those who I've met personally, hugged, I've shaken your hands, sisters that I can't hug and can't shake hands, whatever the case may be, and everybody who's online watching, and most importantly to the Hadith disciples and the Hadith disciples, those upon the Hadith culture and disciplism, wherever you may be. We give a shout out to Idris in Egypt. He's watching. May Allah bless you, Akhil Kareem. We're happy that you're there, but it's unfortunate that you're not here with us. And everybody else who watched, who benefited, who learned, we thank all of you. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make it as a means of something which is practical and tangible to benefit in your daily life. If you're a student of knowledge, a scholar, an imam, a layman, basic Muslim, jazakumullahu khairan. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Before we stop, if there are any questions on the topic or off the topic, now is the time for that. We will not accept any questions from Talabat al-Ilm. Anyone who's been to Riyadh or Damaj overseas, لا نستقبل أسئلتكم. We will not take your questions. معلش. تفضل يا أخي. If there are any questions from the brothers or the sisters, now is the time. Now is the time. Ukhti Hilal, please. It's yours. Allah bless you with that. Tafadali. Tafadal. Go ahead. Clear. As far as investing money for your child, investing money for yourself, whether it's life insurance or not, whatever it's called, there's nothing wrong with investing money in Islam. To put up money and someone takes your money and they buy with it and they sell with it, they enhance it, they allow your money to grow. There's nothing wrong with that initially in Islam. There's nothing wrong with investing money in Islam. The only problem is if your money is being taken and being used and invested in that which is haram and that which angers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Regardless, whether it's riba, usury, regardless, whether it is the flesh of swine, pornography, prostitution, alcohol, regardless whether it is Christianity, spreading Christian doctrine, anything that's being used which angers Allah Azza wa Jal and brings upon the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's haram for you to invest your money in. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario is your money is being invested in that which isn't haram. Clearly, there's nothing wrong with that, as we just said. The problematic issue is you don't know where the money is being invested. You don't know where it is being invested. So one way of looking at it is, you don't know. It's not my job to ask. The asl is that it's permissible to buy, to sell, and to invest. The money that comes back is from Allah Azza wa Jall's bounty. Or another way of looking at it is, you know that in most cases, they're investing the money in haram. In most cases, the money isn't just being invested without interest, without riba, without usury. And that's how the $1,000 for 20 years became $1 million. So that's also problematic as well. The advice that I would give you personally, in New York City, there was a woman, we went to go see, me and another brother. She was a financial expert, okay? Financial expert. She was like from the ulama of money. As we say, ulama of the what? Either ulama of the deen and ulama of the what? Of the cream. Everybody understand? A specialist in both sides. So we went and we talked to her. And we spoke to her in her office. And surprisingly or not, hopefully this is not too long of an answer. It's tangible. It's going to help you out, inshallah. She had questions for me. All right? She wanted to know certain things. And that is because she says, I have many clients, many people that come to me, and they're from West Africa. They're from the Middle East, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, in America, whether they're living there, Democrats, diplomats, whatever, whoever they are, they come to me. All right? She's on Wall Street. She's top notch, yani, fil qimma. So she says, I want to know what goes with or against their faith. Because some of them ask me to invest their money only in halal. And he says, some of them, they don't care. Here's $1 million, just let me see whatever billion, 2 million later on, it doesn't matter what you do. But some of them actually want to know. And I myself, I'm confused. I don't know about Islamic doctrine. I don't know anything about the Sharia, the law, etc. So she asked me certain questions. So we sat and we talked, and I explained to her certain principles, like I just explained to you, that which is clearly used for haram, that which is clearly used for halal. You invest in toothpaste. You invest in microphones. Regardless of what the people using the microphones for, the microphone is originally a permissible thing. You invest in tea bags. Yeah, it's permissible. And then we have that which is gray and in the middle. And I spoke to her a few other issues, so on and so on and so forth. So after she got her questions and she got her answers, the tables were turned and it was time for us to ask her with regards to investing money, non-profit, and things like this. So the older brother that I was with, he was the one who plugged me into this lady, this woman of expertise. And we sat there, and she basically explained to us like this. She says, you as Muslims or Jews, clients who are Jews, he says there are many things in the financial world today you just cannot deal with, period. It's just not for you. It's not for you to get this type of money from investment. It's not for you. And there are many things which are for you and you can use. She said, I deal with my clients how they wish me to deal with them. if they come to me and they give me restrictions and they tell me do it like this but not like that, no matter what is the income, what is the turnaround on the investment, she says that is what I will do. And if you just say bring me back such and such amount of money, then I'll bring you back such and such amount of money. So the point was, she says, is that you have to have economic literacy. You have to understand basic terms. You have to understand basic concepts of money. What's a stock? What's a bond? What is a policy? Different things like this. He says the average person walking around doesn't have an idea about many things that are majorly effective on their lives. And she also said with regards to Muslims and Jewish clients, she says some of them, she says if you don't get involved in certain things and certain investments, she says then you're going to totally lose out. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, there will be another great leap in the economic world. And those who had no knowledge of the basics, had no investments of the basics, they're already left behind now. They'll be what? Way in the prehistoric age in another 20, 30 years. So therefore the point is that whoever you invest your money in, whoever you give your money to, make sure that you yourself are clear and frank what you want and what you don't want. Make sure you tell them your Islamic restrictions, and make sure you tell them that which is permissible and from the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you give them the money, you lay down these restrictions, please don't put my wealth like this and like that. And the intricacies and the details of the wealth, I don't need to know, I don't want to know about. Just nothing clearly, obviously haram, displeasing to God Almighty, whom I believe in my religion. If that's what you do, and they invest your money, Bismillah. There's nothing wrong with that, with those conditions. As far as someone says it's haram to invest any money because of riba, the whole entire system today is based off of riba. The whole economic financial system is based off of riba. And it's not just Canada or America. Overseas, there's riba. Overseas, there are riba banks in abundance. Rather, there's some scholars who say there's no such thing as a riba-free bank. They said there are banks that have less riba, that try to fight it, but it's impossible. So the point that we're trying to get to is for you to have the basic education of the Islamic rulings and a basic education of the actual economic dealings. Make the conditions well known. Give your money to someone who's trustworthy, someone who is strong. إِنَّ خَيْرَ مَنْ اسْتَأْجَرْتَ الْقَوِيُّ الْأَمِينَ. The best person to put in charge, it says in the story of Musa alayhi salam and those women, he says, Al-Qawi Al-Amin. وَإِنِّي عَلَيْهِ إِيش لَقَوِيٌّ أَمِينٌ. For someone to be strong and for someone to be trustworthy. So this woman here, according to what we knew from her and saw from her, we consider her to be strong and trustworthy. She wasn't a Muslim, she was a Christian. But she respected Muslims and she respected people of religion. She respected honest, upright type of people, and she was also strong. Our office was full of accolades and awards and magazines and newspapers. The first woman like this, the first woman like that, the first woman to accomplish this. So she knew what she was doing. But she only moves and manipulates the pieces according to what? What you want. So if you don't know what you want, that's a problem. If you know that you want haram, that's a problem. You know what you want, you know what you can and cannot have, and you're upfront with it, then bi-idhnillahi, you'll find many financial, economic opportunities to invest your money. Many of them. So in brief, if you make those conditions, and if it's known, hopefully there's nothing wrong with that money being invested. Clear on that? Any type of investment, that's investment. As far as actual life insurance, then that's similar but a bit different. It's similar but a bit different. There are a few more details with regards to insurance in Islam. The basic rule is, oftentimes insurance is a necessity. You don't have a choice, you don't have an option. You can't open up a center or business unless you have some type of what? Insurance. And what would be the ruling if the Muslims weren't allowed to open up businesses, weren't allowed to open up schools and colleges and institutes? If this was a school, do you think it has to be what? Insured. So certain things which are a necessity, certain things the Muslims are compelled to do, and hopefully there's no sin in that. And there's certain things the Muslims do not need. Or even if they don't need it, but it isn't a major benefit. It's just something on the side, extra, and it's best to stay away from that. But that which is a necessity, or it isn't a necessity, but it's something in maslaha, raja, ghaliba, living in a time and a place in which the economic crunch is a reality. She said in 20, 30 years, she says you are going to be totally outdated if you don't have some type of dealing in some of these things. The Muslims are behind now. We have to beg for money to build a school, if we even have a school, or a masjid or a center. We have to put together crumbs and peanuts. She says if the Muslims don't start doing certain things, they're going to be way, 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 way left behind. And it's going to be even more difficult to live in the modern world, in the West and in the East. So that's with regards to insurance. Certain types of insurance is mandatory, whether it's driving, whether it's having a business, a travel agent. He has to have certain things have to be insured. There's no choice. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the Islamic principle that the scholars mention is that if there's a necessity, there's no sin, or if there's an extreme difficulty and a major hardship, then there is no sin, with the intention of remaining pure, with the intention only doing it because of necessity or a major hardship, and not just extra, not just wanting more. Everybody understand this? Even though those things are relative. That's relative. One person may say it's not a necessity for the Muslims to have this type of investment. You don't even have to deal with the banks. It's not a necessity. It's extra. It's greed. And another may say, no, we cannot run a center by having money week to week. We can't flourish like that week to week. We need to have thousands and millions of dollars put up for necessity, for emergency. There's a fire, something happens. We have to have a cushion. There can't be no type of professional establishment and you're living from check to check. It doesn't work like that. So there are details in some of these issues. I've given you some of the general points. If it's a necessity or if it's a hardship, then that's one thing. Any type of insurance. If it isn't a necessity, if it isn't a hardship in avoiding it, if it isn't a major benefit that keeps you from harm and feeling in a difficult situation, then the Muslim is to avoid anything which involves that which angers Allah, whether it's interest or usury, whether it is buying and selling that which a person doesn't own, and many other type of illegal financial and economic dealings and transactions. And Allah knows best. Hopefully that's clear, inshallah. Tafadali. Question says, what are some of the ways that a student of knowledge can become motivated, or when they hit a mental block, so on and so forth? Just like we said yesterday to Abdul Malik, Abdullahi, we said this yesterday, is that oftentimes you shouldn't try. Don't fight it. Sometimes just go with it and allow it to fill its natural course. Now you may say, this is strange. What are you talking about? Kayf hadha. I'll give you an example. Me and Sheikh Qasim just talking about this in the office. Most cases, and I'll say this on the microphone, people recording, and most of the time, I know that I have to give the khutbah every Friday, wherever I am, unless I'm traveling somewhere overseas in the land of the people of knowledge, etc. But a Western country, Canada, America, UK, somewhere, South America, I have to do the khutbah. I know this. All the books that we teach and read in the classes, but for one reason or another, from Friday to Thursday night to Friday morning, in most cases I have a mental block. I just don't know what I want to talk about. I can't think about what to talk about. And in the class last night, how many things did we read? How many hadiths did we talk about? Which I could easily do the khutbah, but for one reason or another, I get a mind block. So what happens? When I first got like this, I would fight it. Think, and try to force it. And eventually I just did what? Don't think about it. Don't force it. So it's Fajr time. Jummah starts at 1 p.m. I'm doing this. I eat my breakfast. I have my class with the sisters, this and that. My clothes, getting dressed, whatever the case may be. And eventually, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, whether it's 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 12:59 p.m., 1 minute before the adhan, rather, and Allah is my witness, this is the truth. After the mu'adhin makes the adhan, and before saying alhamdulillah, ding, the light bulb may pop up in my head. Wallahi. Or 10 minutes, and I have time to put this together. I read this hadith before. Ibn al-Qayyim said this introduction, this historical story, kada, then comes. So sometimes don't fight it. Just let it ride. You have a mental block, you get stuck, just be patient with it. The proof for this understanding that you may say is weird or Sufi or what do you think you are? What are you saying you do khutbah without preparing? The proof for this is the hadith that we mentioned last night. That Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As narrated, as Imam Ahmad collected in his Musnad, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ عَمَلٍ شِرَّةٍ وَإِنَّ لِكُلِّ شِرَّةٍ فَتْرَةٍ فَمَنْ كَانَتْ فَتْرَتُهُ إِلَى سُنَّتِي فَقَدْ اهْتَدَى ومن كانت فترته إلى غير ذلك فقد هلك أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He said that the Prophet said, إن لكل عمل شرة. Every act, every deed that you perform has a peak, a pinnacle, a time in which your energy reaches its max. It's all the way up. You're feeling good. You're feeling inspired. You're doing everything. The nawafil, this, that. You're reading, you're studying. It's going very, very well. وَإِنَّ لِكُلِّ شِرَّةٍ فَتْرَةٍ. And every flare or spark has also cool down, meltdown, time in which it falls down, it plummets, your energy goes low. You don't feel as inspired, you don't feel invigorated anymore, you don't feel energized anymore, you may feel a little lazy. So the Prophet ﷺ, he says, anyone who's a fatra, this time of decrease, is towards my sunnah. In other words, he doesn't fall beneath the basic standard. My shirra, and I'm reading for 12 hours a day. My shirra is that I'm taking 6 or 7 classes, sitting and studying. My shirra, I'm in my house, I'm in my apartment, I'm traveling, I'm listening to the whole Quran, half the Quran. I'm listening to 50 lectures, I'm writing, I'm authoring, I'm answering questions. It's my shirra. And then my fatra is that I at least read for an hour a day. Waliyadu billah. Or 1 class a day. Or just 1 juz out of the Quran that I read after Salat al-Fajr. But the problem is for my fatra to fall in which I don't read anything. I don't read any Quran. I don't do any study. So he whose fatra is towards the sunnah, meaning iqtisad, you don't fall beneath the basic standard, then you'll be guided, the hadith says. And if your fatra is towards other than my sunnah, the Prophet says, then you will be destroyed. So you can't push it and burn out. And then when you slacken, you don't do anything for a week or a month. You don't have the ability to keep that pace up 24/7 every single day out of the month, out of the year. The finals times is not like the times when you don't have finals. The beginning of the year is not like the middle of the year. It goes up, it goes what? Goes down. Let it flow naturally. As long as you don't fall beneath the what? Basic standard. There can't be, I didn't pick up a book for a week because I'm depressed, or I'm stressed, I'm having an anxiety attack, I'm just feeling lazy. La. You have to force yourself to pick the book up. Read it. Read something every single day. Everybody understand this? Bidnai ta'ala, that's one way. The second way is as you let it flow, you have to also gradually and progressively work on avoiding falling into that slump or that ditch. It's a place, a person, something that you eat, too much caffeine, you don't have enough iron. When you hang around this person, you start feeling a certain way. If too much time goes by, you don't make umrah, you start feeling the type of way. Whatever is the reason or the cause behind you falling into that slump, you have to, we said, not at once, not cold turkey. You have to gradually, progressively wean yourself off of that problem. Clear on that? So who you hang around, who are your friends, who you listen to, what inspiration, what goals in life do you have? The Prophet ﷺ is quoted by Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As as well, the hadith in the Mustadrak of Imam al-Hakim, that he says, إِنَّ الْإِيمَانَ لَا يَخْلَقُ وعلى ضبط آخر لا يخلق في جوف أحدكم كما يخلق الثوب البالي أو كما يخلق الثوب الخلق فاسأل الله أن يجدد الإيمان في قلوبكم أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He says that a man can become worn out in your heart. A man can become tattered. It can become faded. It become holy in your heart. Ask Allah to renew Iman in your heart. So you read the life of Imam Ahmed and it inspired you and it pushed you to go forward. Years went by, months went by, go back to it. You got to keep the fire kindled. You have to keep it lit, keep feeding it fuel, keep it lit through reading, through studying, through meeting people, through getting in debates with people. You may have to even get embarrassed. You ask a question, oh man, someone, you get into debate, anything, you get a bad grade on a test. And it is the means of what? You rekindling that initial love. So when you study and when you give dawah, it's very important for you to have anniversaries. Very important. This is the day when I first started studying. This is the day when I first graduated. This is the day when I went here and I met him. And you got to renew that what? The romance that you have with ilm. You have to renew it because it can grow, it can fade, it can become weak. Just like people's relationships. Just like what? People's relationships. Married for 30 years, 10 kids together. You get sick, fight, argue, you cheated, this and that. And the love starts to what? Diminishes, it fades. Let alone the other things between a husband and wife. This is the reality of life. So you have to constantly ask Allah to keep it, and do have those anniversaries with yourself. Go make umrah, go to the class, go sit with this one, go call this one, go debate, go read this book. You got to keep renewing it, bid'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah knows best. Fadal. Like, as far as the first question, with regards to taking pity on the two types of people, and the Prophet ﷺ's words with regards to jealousy, the envy that's permissible, لا يعارض كلام النبي عليه السلام بكلام أحد كائنا من كان. The Prophet's words are never ever put on the same plate or scale with anyone else's words. Period. Anyone. The companions as a whole understood the hadith, different story. The ijma' of the Sahaba and the Salaf, different story. A good number of them practiced and did other things, perhaps the maqsood of the hadith. But one person's view or statement is never ever even put on the same scale with the Prophet's words, let alone to be heavier, abadan. So the Prophet's words are not understood in light of the statement of one person. Rather, that person's statement, it has to be understood in light of the Prophet's words. So therefore, what's important is, if you don't understand and you seek knowledge, you just don't get it, that has nothing to do with you. That's him, the onlooker. I pity this person. I see a person studying and he just can't get it. He's just miskeen. Or even worse than that, because everyone has intelligence. Everyone has a level of understanding. But a person didn't take the necessary steps in getting the understanding. He's a fool. He's a fool. He's a hard-working what? Fool, unfortunately. I feel sorry for him. You're wasting your time doing this. You're wasting your time studying this. And you know that. You try to give him advice, he doesn't want to take it. Clear on this? Last but not least is the one who has fahm and he doesn't work hard. That's even worse than the first person. Because you have the ability to reach perfection, but you just don't want to reach perfection. Clear on that. As far as who should you take as your study buddy, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, it should be someone that is compatible with you and your character and your nature. Not just the most studious sister or brother, whoever, but someone who's good for you. There may be someone who's the best study buddy, but they're not a good study buddy for you. They're too busy. They're too advanced. They're too slow. They're too inconsistent. They may be too harsh. So you have to find someone that's compatible, what? For you. Someone who's accessible and someone whose schedule is similar to your schedule. You need someone, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, from some aspects, who's on the same level as you, and from the other aspects, maybe a little above or beneath, depending on the situation. Bihasab al-maqam. Someone that's going to be trustworthy, someone that's serious, someone that's upright, and someone that has the same taste and thirst and passion for ilm as you, or similar to that. That's the person that you should try to take as your study buddy. Bi'idhnillah. So sometimes you should have a study buddy, and sometimes you should have a group of sisters. Or sometimes you review and you revise by yourself. All three elements, inshallah. Any other questions? Tafadali. For myself. Okay. Tayyib. And the second question? Tayyib. As far as the first question, what advice do I wish I would have gotten earlier on? It's a yes and a no answer. The no part is alhamdulillah, I'm happy what Allah has given me. I'm happy with that. And the mistakes that I've made, mistakes I'm making, but the mistakes that I've made, and some of the hardships that I had to go through, and some of the things and the scars and the scratches that I had to obtain, I feel that they have made me what I am and allowed me to be where I am and to do what I do. And if it wasn't for going through this and going through that and being with this and this, so I wouldn't be where I am today. So I don't feel like I would change anything if I could go back and turn the hands of time. Because those hardships, they make you who you are. As we said with regards to the golf ball. You ever wonder why a golf ball has those little dimples in it, those little dents in it? The original golf balls were smooth, like an egg, or like a billiard ball, pool ball. The original golf balls had no dents, no dimples in it whatsoever. That's how they originally played golf back in the day. So it was a man, he was playing golf, and he noticed that he had a dent in his ball. And he, just ignored it or whatever. He didn't replace the ball. No, just keep it, The guy comes, let's give him the ball. Says, no, just leave it. Doesn't matter. It's a small nick. And then he noticed after playing for some time, there were more dents and nicks in the ball. And then he had realized that the more dents that were in the ball, the further the ball would go. The more accurate the trajectory of the ball would be. The more aerodynamic the ball became. What made it easier for him to be a better golfer. So from that point on, every single golf ball was automatically made with those dents made in them. So the wisdom that we learn from this is the more dents you have, the more hardships you go through, the more mistakes you make, the further you'll go in your life and in seeking knowledge. So from that aspect, I have no regrets about the different things that I did, even though there were bad things, but they led, inshallah, to something good, hopefully. Let alone that which I didn't get then, but I got now, or I got later on. That's the no part. As far as the yes part, then of course, I would say roughly, I wish I wasn't as naive, and I wish that I had gotten more advice when I was younger with regards to jealousy and envy. Because when I first started experiencing jealousy and envy, it was something that was like a shock to me. I couldn't like believe it, especially from somebody that I'm supposed to be close with, I'm sitting with, we're studying, struggling together. Laugh, smile, joke, asking you questions. Can you translate this? Can you do this? So on and so forth. MashaAllah, alaik, mufti, mashallah. And then the next thing you know, it's crazy envy and jealousy. So it's like a shock, like, whoa, this is real? It's the same person? So I was very young, and I didn't necessarily, of course you know about jealousy, you know about haters, but it's not the same. When you're young and you're pure, you're naive. You may think that Islam, Sunnah, seeking ilm is just a utopia of positivity. So that's one thing. But like I just said, those hardships, those adversities, they pushed me further. And they made me go further and accomplish more and to train and study even harder. No question about that. Also, just living in Saudi Arabia, living overseas, you learn certain things. Somebody may give you advice with regards to how to operate, how to maneuver yourself with regards to religion and politics. And you may think, no, that's not true. The doctors, there's no politics here. It's just ilm and ability. And as you learn and as you study, you realize that politics are in every sphere of life. And there's no place that is free from politics. And oftentimes you may realize that in certain places or with certain people, politics comes before academics. So it's like, wow, it took me 4 years to learn this. And the brother, when we first graduated from the bachelor's program, he says, come and do this with me. No, I want to write this, I'm going to do this. They want to accept it. And then you find out you never have a chance from day one. So there's certain things, these are just a few examples, but at the end of the day, those things make you who you are. And wisdom does not come for free. Hikmah has a price, and that price is you going through this up, going through this down. The dents in a golf ball help the golf ball go further, have the golf ball roll accurately. So it's like yes and no. There's just a few examples. As far as what foods or what drinks can a person use to increase his or her memory, then as we've explained before, these different tricks of the trade are only to be used by someone who's doing it full time. Someone who's studying and memorizing and reviewing for many, many hours out of the day, every week, every month, every year, back to back. Then these things on the side give you a little bit of push. They give you a little bit of extra push. They amplify your efforts. But if you don't have the necessary efforts from the get-go, then it's not a big difference that you're going to see like that. So, if you're studying hard, most of your ability to memorize, first and foremost, from Allah, tawfiq of Allah. After that, then that is your efforts. So if there's a gum, and I was in Yemen, they had certain gums that people chewed, and it was said to enhance and sharpen one's memory. Like I said yesterday or the day before, green tea. Not all green tea, but certain types of green tea and how it's prepared. Other types of teas, white teas, different types of teas was well known, adding focus and sharpness to your mind. different types of fish, and oils that can be found in certain types of fish. Things like this. Honey, pure honey, not the sugar, the syrupy sugar that you find on the shelf, but actual honey, real honey. These things are well known to be in the subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only amplify, but also solidify and to strengthen one's memory. But that's only beneficial, and Allah knows best, if you're really, really with the hammer and the tongue, banging the anvil, working hard. That extra 5% makes a big difference. If I'm studying for 10 hours out of the day, and I get a little 30 minutes or hour of extra energy without taking a nap, that makes a huge difference. If I'm only studying for an hour or 2 hours, it doesn't make a big difference if I don't have that much energy. But if you're really, really, really doing it, and most importantly, you're a professional. You go to the jeweler, you give him your watch or your earrings or your bracelet. The average person, what does he do when he gets the watch? Oh, what if I gave you this watch? What's the first thing you're going to do? You want to look at it. What's the first thing you want to do? Take the watch. Yalla. Look at it, inspect it. Look at the engraving on the back. Can you read that? Look at the engraving. Can you read it? See what he just did? He did like, It says U.S. Navy. This watch says what? You did this. You did 2 or 3 things, capital mistakes. One, you don't have the ability not to avoid, but the other one you did. You brought your head down. And one of the lessons that you learn from archery is never ever to lean your head or your neck to the bow or the arrow. Use your arms and bring it up to you. So instead of lifting it up, which is easier, you did what? Everybody understand this? This is important. You go to the jeweler, the master jeweler, the first thing he does before he does what? No question. He never ever strains his eyes. It's no big deal if you read it now. U.S. Navy, bullships comparing, watch it, 1944 Hamilton Watch Company, Lancaster, PA. You can read it. But I'm reading 50 watches a day. I'm looking at gold for hours out of the day. That extra amplification of my sight and less strain, it makes a what? A huge difference. So you're studying for hours and hours and hours, that honey, that salmon, that fish oil, this tea, this gum, it makes a what? A huge difference. So you have to be putting in the necessary efforts to get benefits from those super foods. And you'll never see a master jeweler looking at anything, not even just how the one he may have the goggles on his head. He puts it down and he looks at it and he amplifies and he magnifies it, and he never ever strains his eyes or strains his hand, because he is a professional and he does it for hours out of the day. And if he looked at every single piece of jewelry like that or like this, it would do what? Weaken him. Everybody understand this? So you can't just drink honey with water or zamzam and say, khalas, I have the hifd of Imam Bukhari. You have to yourself do what? It said the hammer and the tongue. You got to be banging and burning in, forging steel. Everybody clear on this or not? Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, rahimahullah ta'ala, the famous story, Allah alam if it's authentic or not, he said, the hadith, inna ma'a zamzam lima shuriba lah. That zamzam water is what it's for. Whatever you want it to be for, that's what it will be for. That's one interpretation of the hadith. هذا أحد تفسيري المقصود يعني من هذا الحديث. This is one of the interpretations of the hadith. So Ibn Hajar is claimed that he said he drank water, zamzam water, and he asked Allah to give him the hifd of al-hafidh al-dhahabi. For Allah to give him not more but just the hifd al-dhahabi. He says, then I started to study and I started to research. فَرَأَيْتُ أَنَّهُ قَدْ وَقَعَ فِي أَوْهَامٍ وَرَأَيْتُ أَنَّ فَضْلَ اللَّهِ أَوْسَعُ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. He says, and I saw many mistakes that Dhahabi made, and I realized that Allah's bounty was greater than that. Allah's bounty was greater than me just asking for Dhahabi, and also the high aspirations. And we're talking about Dhahabi here. He was the champion of hadith, one of the greatest students of Ibn Taymiyyah, the muhaddith of his time. So the point is, Hafidh ibn Hajar, he didn't just drink the zamzam water, but he also did what? He worked hard, he studied, and he says, what I ate too, I saw, he was aware, is that with hard work, with sincerity, and with Allah's blessing, sky's the what? Limit. Rather even higher than the sky like we read last night. Wallahu alam. So that's the qaida of foods, of drinks, clothes, of scholars, countries. It depends on how much Allah blesses you and how hard you work, how much time and effort you put in. And Allah knows best. Inshallah, Fadal. So طيب طيب clear. Where do I have to start from? How? What did I forget? Tell you. As far as the first issue, libas al-shuhra and libas of talib al-ilm, you mentioned this the other night in the class, that if students of knowledge have a specific dress code or a culture, how they wear their thobes, or what type of scarves or headpieces they wear, is this libas al-shuhra? It doesn't mean it's libas al-shuhra, etc. Tayyib. First and foremost is, we mentioned that some of the ulama, I believe it's in the Tariq al-Tadween class, with regards to khawarim al-muru'ah, كذلك, things that go against the tradition, peculiar, weird, strange, outlandish types of things, are a means of a narrator's hadith not being accepted, or a witness not having his testimony being accepted in court. طيب, that's one thing. هذا شيء. لباس الشهرة شيء آخر. في تعلق. هناك ارتباط فعلا، لكن ليس هناك تلازم. ليس هناك تلازم. لباس الشهرة, clothing of fame, and خوارم المروءة are two different issues. Even though there's some generality in the middle, but it's not a must. This is a must of that. أبدا. That's أولا. ثانيا is, what's meant by خوارم المروءة, as we just explained, something that if you do, even though it's not haram, it's something that's seriously looked down upon culturally. Culturally. Let's make an example of this. A brother, he has a pickup truck. What colors do most pickup trucks come in? Black, white, blue, red, hakida. So let's say a man had not a fuchsia or breast cancer, but as his brother said in the restaurant, a Barbie pink pickup truck. Rims, wheels, everything, kitted out. What? Barbie pink. He's driving the truck. I tell you, he has a wife, he has children. The brother may have 2, 3 wives, 10 children. You have no doubt about him with regards to his sexual orientation. But he's driving a pink pickup truck. And it's like it's nothing, driving it, rocking, as we say. And he gets out of a pink pickup truck, and there's a big 6'6" buxom brother with muscles getting out of a pink pickup truck. To the average person, be careful of your, the person, they say, what, Sheikh Hassan? The Arabs, they say, Man salla sayf al-baghi, qutila bihi. Say, he who wields an aggressive sword will be slain by that sword. We say in America, you live by the gun, you what? Die by the gun. What's important is, he has a Barbie pink pickup truck. Big truck, and it's Barbie pink. Not even hot pink, Barbie pink. You automatically going to say to yourself, whoa, what's going on? Something is up. Something is weird. Something is strange with this guy. And if he brought you a piece of information the next day, even if you know he's not a liar, he's not mentally ill, he has a good memory, automatically or hypothetically speaking, you're going to be a bit what? You're going to be a what? We can't stop laughing a long time. You're going to be a bit hesitant, at least. Now I'm adding a bit what? A bit hesitant. He told you some stories, like, because the first thing that's going to come in your head is the what? The pickup truck that's Barbie pink. Huh? So the ulama, they say, now, is it haram to have Barbie pink pickup truck? One may say, no, there's no hadith about that. It's not specific to Nisa, it's my sister's truck, or whatever the case may be. Tayyib? What's the mushkila? But to the people, that's going to be something that's majorly what? Taboo, looked down upon. Everyone understands for now. So they say this is from the conditions of an acceptable narrative hadith. أن يبتعد عن خوارم المروءة. طيب ومن أهل العلم من يأبى هذا ويقول لا وإنما الشرط في عدالة الراوي غلبة الطاعة على أحواله. من كانت الطاعة من كان الغالب على أحوال الطاعة فقط. ما دام ابتعد عن المحرمات وفعل المأمورات هذا هو الشرط في الراوي العدل. لكن يعني مسألة طويلة. المهم ليست هي مما اتفق عليه أهل العلم أبدا. لا في باب الرواية والشهادة ولا في باب الحديث. أنت معي ولا لا؟ طيب. أما لباس الشهرة, then the most important concept of لباس الشهرة is the hadith of Abdullah bin Umar in Sunan Abi Dawud. من لبس ثوب شهرة ألبسه الله يوم القيامة ثوب مذلة أو كما قال. Hadith says anyone who wears clothing of fame in this life, Allah will put on clothing of shame upon him on the day of judgment or in hereafter. أو كما جاء. أولا هذا الحديث يعني مشكل من حيث السند والمتن, والقول الذي يترجح لي والله أعلم وما أدين الله به أن الحديث لا يثبت عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, وإنما هو موقوف عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما حسب ما بحثنا نحن في المدينة من أهل العلم الكبار من يصححه ويحسنه فلهم اجتهاداتهم. أما الذي أدين الله به أنا فإنه لا يثبت عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم سندا ولا متنا, ويخالف عدة نصوص صحيحة ثابتة في إباحة الطيبات, لبس ما شئت وشرب ما شئت وأكل ما شئت إلى آخره. الرجل يحب أن يكون ثوبه حسنا, أن يكون أن تكون نعله إيش حسنا. هذا الكبر. عرفت معي؟ هذا أولا. That hadith, we're not going to necessarily translate all of that. That's a long issue discussing that hadith and its proper meaning, its authenticity, etc. At the end of the day, students of knowledge to dress in a specific way. Or the problem that we have here is in Canada, you shouldn't wear a thobe, Mahdi. Take off the dress. You shouldn't have a really, really long beard. You shouldn't necessarily have your big sajda, cover it up. Don't even wear this. Wear pants, wear shirt. Sisters shouldn't wear gloves, they shouldn't wear niqab. They don't have to wear a black abaya. You don't have to wear these big long capes. Just simple, loose clothing. Because these articles of clothing are from the Middle East. Thobes originally came from Persians, not even Arabs. They started wearing them in the 4th century. The Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba, they had izar and rida, they had jubba, they had hulla. They didn't have these types of khumus that we wear. And most importantly, they say it's thiyab shuhra. It's seeking fame. Why is your garment so high, your beard so long? It makes you famous. You have on full glove, full niqab screen. Your niqab is so low, can barely see your eyes. They say this shuhra. Or worldly things. Back to the pickup truck. You have a very expensive pickup truck. A unique pickup truck with rims, wheels that no one else has. It's an extremely exotic color, specially made for you. And no one in Canada has the color pickup truck like you. It says haram because this is libas, shuhra. This is fame. Or having a pocket watch is shuhra. If you take that approach, then that means that there's no such thing as being unique in Islam. And that which is normally permissible is now no longer permissible because it's shuhra. So everyone has to dress the same, look the same, eat the same, and have general basic standard of living. White pickup truck, black pickup truck, normal colors. And that, as I just said, is extremely problematic in light of many, many texts in Kitab and in Sunnah. قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ. Who has made Allah's zina, Allah's adornment and beauty haram? So that's a problem. And what is and what isn't thiyab shuhra, let alone that which is worn out of religious devotion. I live in this country. The ad of this country is to wear low thobes. The ad is to wear beneath the ankles. But I've learned and I've studied that it's haram to wear beneath the ankle. That's what I believe, even though other ulama, etc. I believe that it should be at the middle of the shin. So I have to lower my garment and take their fiqh madhab and take their view because to avoid libas الشهرة والشذوذ. هذا مثل هذا الحكم لابد أن يستند إلى حكم شرعي واضح شيء صريح فضلا عن كون هذه الألبسة وهذه these styles هي مشهورة ومعروفة أنها طلبة العلم يلبسون هكذا. The cab driver, he sees you, you get a cab, he says, "Alakh min talabat al-Jamia al-Islamiyya." The first thing he says, "No, I'm an English teacher." But because I'm a white taqiyya, you have a white thobe, you have a nice pin, your pants above your ankles, you have some nice socks on, nice sandals, he automatically thinks you're from the students of Medina. I.e., the students of Medina, they have their own cultural dress code, which is not shuhra. Which is not what? Which is not shuhra. The last thing I'll say, and Allah knows best, from that which proves this, wallahu alam, in Medina once in a cab, a nice cab driver, an older brother I had rode with plenty of times. He picked me up, dropped me home. So one day we were talking about some issues, plagues of the Muslims today, problems, etc. So the issue of the beard came up. And he said to me, he says, "You know why I don't have a beard? You know I have a shaven face?" He says, "I know it's haram. I know it's a problem. He says, well, the reason why I don't have a full beard is because if I have a full beard, my family, my tribe, they'll think that I'm a sheikh. They'll think that I'm religious like that. They'll think that I have knowledge, and I'm not that religious. I'm not that pious. I'm not knowledgeable at all. So therefore, I don't want to have any shihra. See how problematic that can become? So if you have to stand out and stick out because of the deen, how can you say that أَلْبَسَهُ اللَّهُ ثَوْبَ مَذِلَّ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ? This is a mushkil. This is a problem in that. So, of course, different issues, different ins and outs. The ulama of Islam, they have different views, different ways of dealing with this issue. This is my humble opinion. With regards to ash-shudud wa khawarim al-muru'ah. Khawarim al-muru'ah, no doubt. Certain things are to be avoided. It's just too weird, too peculiar. But Muslim identity, dressing in a certain way, or not even that, just being unique. I like to wear this. It says thob shura. Who's wearing this? When's the last time you see somebody wear this? Let alone a speaker. I don't think anybody. And I'm not wearing it, wallahi, to catch your attention. I'm wearing it because I like to wear it. It makes me feel nice. It makes me feel comfortable. So it's haram for me to wear this because nobody else wears it. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. Wallahu alam. Tafadali. Barakallahu feek. Clear. With regards to balancing between community needs, between isolation, seeking ilm, worshiping, being by yourself, crying over your sins, reflecting on your spiritual state, and the needs of the people. The best answer I can give you, Ukhti, is one of the fawaid that I got from Shaykh Abdurrahman ibn Nasir al-Sa'di in his tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf. In explaining the story of Musa and Al-Khadir, and the story, the narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas and others, Sahih Bukhari and others, with regards to when Musa alayhi salam was giving a speech to Bani Israel. And he was asked, هَلْ تَعْلَمُ أَحَدًا أَعْلَمَ مِنْكَ? You know of anyone who has more knowledge than you? And Musa alayhi salam, we all know what he said. He said no, negatively. Or he answered in the negative. And Allah Azza wa Jal revealed to him, بَلْ عَبْدُنَا. He says, rather our servant, Al-Khadir, traveled to him and he gave Musa and his servant the sign to find that knowledgeable man who wasn't more knowledgeable than Musa in every aspect, Musa Kalim al-Rahman. But certain aspects that Khadir had more knowledge than Musa. So therefore, Ibn Sa'di, he says, وَفِيهِ الْجَمْعُ بَيْنَ التَّعْلِيمِ وَالرِّحْلَةِ فِي الْإِزْدِيَادِ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ أو كما قال رحمه الله. He says, in this part of the story, Surah Al-Kahf, the Hadith Sahih Bukhari is the proof to combine and harmonize between teaching and getting more knowledge. So you balance it, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the khutbah, it's only once a week. This is the after Maghrib class that I have to give. This is the khatira after Salat al-Fajr that I have to give, if that's even permissible, or to say that, a khatira, هذا فيه بعض الشيء. Al-Muhim, a short talk after the Fajr prayer, and then you have the rest of your time. And don't forget, you're giving a khutbah, you're giving a class, you're teaching the sisters, you don't have to do. That is spirituality in itself. That's ibadah in itself. And Allah knows best, you helping one sister out. You guiding one sister, you being there for your sister. Not even teaching her, just lending a warm ear to a sister that's going through something. She's depressed. She might be about to make suicide. She's calling you, she has a bottle of pills in her hand. She has a knife while she's on the phone with you. And you reject the call or send it to voicemail, or you pick up, sister's crying, she's about to commit suicide, and you help her out. You're there for her, you give her a hug, whatever the case may be. That may be better than you, or better for you than 10 years of your isolated worship. You saved somebody's life by Allah's permission. That sister started practicing, she started covering, she started seeking ilm because of your nasiha, because you being available, because you being there. So you have to have fiqh al-ibadat now. You have to know how to manage and how to run your schedule. Sometimes be by yourself. Sometimes be there for the people. Sometimes do a mixture, 70-30, 60-40. Sometimes give the people 70% and you own yourself 30%. And don't think, what do you think about Allah, Rabbul Alameen, for you to be there for the people sincerely and helping them out in their deen, and Allah is going to waste you. What do you think about Allah? You think that's even possible? For you to be there for the people, to help the people out, to change people's lives by Allah's permission, and Allah is just going to allow you to be wasted. So you got to think about that critically. You got to think about that what? Critically. In the beginning, no doubt, your service to the people has to be far less than your service to yourself. Learn, study, gain the knowledge. And as you gradually move on, you give more back to the people. As you gradually move on, you have to spend time writing a book. I want to pray, I want to do this, but I have to write this book. How many people benefit from the books? Ibn Sa'di right now, are we benefiting from his prayer right now? Are we benefiting from his sadaqah? Did we benefit from the hajjs that he made? We benefited from his what? Osman, we benefited from his what? Azi, his what? His words. He benefited from his what? His words. So he took time out, reading the Quran, studying, crying, giving sadaqah to write. And we benefited more than we benefited from that. So keep that in mind. And it has to be a balance. And Allah knows best. Bismillah. They have to what? Clear. Yani, in most cases, or not even most cases, let's say sometimes, when certain people do really, really, really weird things, or really peculiar things, outlandish things, oftentimes it is a manifestation of that which is hidden. Oftentimes it's a manifestation of that which is what? Hidden. Or sin or mistake or major shortcoming. It's oftentimes a manifestation of what? That which is there hiding. And we have a rule. You say if you see one mortar bug in the basement, know for sure that there's a what? An entire nest somewhere. You just saw one. One came out. Everybody understand this? In most cases, there's an entire what? Family of those water bugs. In most cases. But you just saw one. That's first and foremost. So this really, we ain't talking about a little bit, something being unique. Something that's really weird. When I said the pink truck thing, everybody started what? Laughing. Everybody. Some people couldn't even control. They can't keep laughing as we speak. Barbie pink. It's too crazy. Not if a brother has a different colored truck, a purple truck, or even if somebody's playing football and he has pink gloves or pink mouthpiece, breast cancer. All pink. Special color pink. That's just as an example. Something perhaps maybe what? Really wrong. Deep down inside. Let alone the fact that a general concept of just avoiding unnecessary scrutiny. Avoiding unnecessary what? Scrutiny. These are general principles that the people of knowledge have mentioned in general, all right? And it's based off of the fact that many issues of hadith narrators are extracted from Babu Shahada, the concept of testimony and witnesses. There are parallels between a rawi and a witness, a shahid and a rawi. Last but not least, the last thing I'll say to you right now is, this also goes back to what, Samad? The concept of fiqh and the people of the fuqaha writing and explaining and taking control over the books of Mustalah. And they dominated those books. And the fiqhi perspective of a shahid and shahada and the aqisa and the tajweezat al-aqliyah being dominant over the narrators of hadith. Shu'bah rahimahullah, who was very harsh when it came to narrators and narrations from the greatest ulama of the 2nd century, and he's considered to be one of the predecessors of ilm al-hadith. Okay, the teacher of Abdurrahman ibn Mahdi and Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, who were the teachers of Ahmed, who was the teacher of Bukhari, wa hakadha, is narrated that one day he saw a man, he says, Yarkabu birdawdan. He was riding a small, tiny pony. Just like the pink truck example. Similar concept. In most cases, he was a big, grown man riding on a small, tiny pony. Not a horse, not a donkey, a small, tiny pony. And he saw him riding on that, and he said, what? I'll never take any hadith from him. Is that correct? Is that absolute? No. But the point is of the concept of just the muru'ah and a person's reputation, a person's appearance, being generally what? In a general standard. هذا هو المقصود. But that's ليس على الإطلاق. ليس على إيش؟ على الإطلاق بل قلنا بأن المذهب الصحيح أن الراوي الذي كان الغالب على أحوال الطاعة بإذن الله هو العدل. والله أعلم. Adam.
What's more beneficial, the
What's more beneficial to take advantage at the night prayer or studying? If you have time to do both, then you do both. If you don't have time to do both, then put forth studying. As is narrated, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu has said, when he was sitting down making review with one of his disciples, he said, مَا الَّذِي قُمْتَ إِلَيْهِ بِأَفْضَلَ مِمَّنْ قُمْتَ عَنْهُ. He says, you standing up to go pray is no more virtuous than sitting down and reviewing these hadiths. So, في حال المزاحمة كما قد قرأنا, when there's no time to do both, put forth the extra ibadah. Time to do both, do the extra ibadah and the bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Clear on that? And from the fruits of knowledge is to know what's virtuous to perform it. But for argument's sake, let's say a person is totally inclined towards reading. He loves to read and to study. So instead of doing this extra fast, like we read from Ibn Mas'ud, that Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu is quoted to have said, he said, I don't necessarily like to fast voluntarily all the time. I don't like to do too much voluntary fast because he says, yud'if, it makes me weak, and I love to read the Quran. So if someone is naturally inclined towards seeking ilm and in other acts of ibadah which are virtuous, and you feel like that's the thing that makes you happy and that keeps you ticking and it gives you the energy to keep moving forth as a Muslim, then that's what you should do. But it doesn't mean that you boycott the other acts of ibadah. The purpose of learning is to implement. The purpose of learning and reading those hadiths in Sahih Muslim is to implement them. Bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah knows best. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here. Thank everybody for their time, for their attention, for their participation. May Allah Azza wa Jal give you the fa'idah and give you the ajr.
First of all, inshallah, I want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that gave us this opportunity to benefit from the Shaykh, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put in the mizan hasanati, inshallah. And all of us, I know for sure, by acting on it, innillah, Allah will benefit on him and make dua for the Shaykh as well. Secondly, I do really want to, on behalf of the Shaykh and from you also, thank you very much for all of you. Me talking with the Shaykh, he felt the energy of the students and kept him motivated and kept him pushing. And this is something beautiful to see, all these young sisters and brothers who ready to learn here for the last 3 days, late hours, not taking a washroom break at all, not getting up and not leaving as the Shaykh stands. It is something that is really, really inspiring and something that, subhanAllah, makes us do more and more of this, inshallah. So the good news also is that we signed with the Shaykh and made him sure that today, before we end up that, inshallah, that at least 4 times in the year he will come and do dawrat like this one. So the next one will be in spring, and then the summer, and then the fall. So every season, inshallah, we'll be seeing him. But before that, how many of you guys are following HadithDisciples on YouTube? Okay, so there's a lot who are not. So I really, truly advise you all to do follow. And this is how you be connected with the Shaykh throughout the year. And for you benefiting from the rest of the reason that we brought the Shaykh, the reason that we insisted to bring him and pushed him, and from last year, for the last couple of years, keep pushing him till he finally grabbed him, and is for the rest of the student, you have something to follow throughout the year. You've seen the Sheikh's duruus online, and you could make the time anytime and continue following that. So you will see yourself, if you just continue a year or two like this, you will see the change that will happen. And if we have more, then we truly, the spirit of the da'wah will come back a lot more stronger, because for the recent years, we kept going the slope a little bit down, and I see it coming up, especially him, and also our brother, Dr. Tahir White, we're working hard to bring him in, and been talking to him for some time. I'll make sure that inshallah he comes and continue and does also dawrat bi'idhnillah. These are the kindest, the mashayikh from North America that we need you students and the young generation to be connected with and learn from. We don't say a lot, we don't say this, but every sheikh that comes to Abu Hurairah, many sheikh come, many people come. But there's a different sheikh for different things. The people, like Sheikh Muhammad, who for the students of knowledge primarily, but also a lot of the general masses would benefit from him. But there's people who the general masses might not sometimes benefit from the Shaykh or not sit in durus and like this. And we have this other shuyukh who motivated or have different styles and different. So as a masjid, we cater to a lot of people. We have to make sure that we have variety of different, to have something for each and everybody who in the masjid. And as people different, the shuyukh selection has to be different. But bi'idhnillah, with the more of you coming and the next dawrah, each one of you, inshallah, have to bring at least one person with them to the complete dawrah, bi'idhnillah. As we see, we will be more increasing. We promise you, we continue not charging a penny. We promise you that and as a matter of fact, even though masjid overall budget we try to put it in, but this dawrah specifically, there's one brother who took care of the expenses of this dawrah specifically. And we should make dua for him and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put in its scale of good deeds as well, and benefiting all the ilm you benefit, inshallah, goes back to him as a benefit. Even though in general we make sure that the overall budget of the masjid, these dawrah to be free and not to be charged by the students. So we thank you again. We thank the Shaykh. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first and foremost. And there's a sign-up sheet here for those who don't have their emails. Please do. There will be questions that will be emailed to you, and that you, inshallah, you send back. There will be a survey that we, inshallah, send to you. We ask you to fill it up as well and be responsive quickly, inshallah, when we send that survey to you as well. So please do that as well, inshallah. And we will be updating you in every different shuyukh that will come, be Shaykh or other as well, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Barakallahu fikum. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Finally, the dinner is ready. For the sisters, if you could head to the community hall, inshallah, you should be ready over there. And the brothers, it will be in the multi-purpose room. And do not come for the question. Let's have the question in the food area, please.
جمع الله لك شملك